This is a bottle of Mystery Malt. It was just released this week by the Thompson Brothers. Thought it was a fantastic concept for quite a few reasons. It's not going to please everyone because what we're buying here is a bottle of whiskey. We don't really know what the contents are. Listen, it isn't unique in that respect, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But what we're going to do tonight, myself, along with some friends, we're going to open our Mystery Malt bottles live. We're going to put the corks away to the side. We're not gonna want to know immediately what we're sipping. We're gonna sip them blind, and we're gonna talk through them, and we're gonna play a silly little guessing game as we talk about some of the interesting things, some of the positives about them. Thereafter, we're gonna do it in a kind of mini blind challenge, a homemade version for all of you that couldn't get their hands on this week. Hopefully, we can have a bit of fun with it too. It's been a long time since I've had guests. It's been a long time since I've been testing myself or guests with a bit of a blind challenge. Let's try it tonight. I'm looking forward to it as always. I'll see you in a second. Hello, whiskey folk. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Thursday night. Welcome to the vPub. I'm Roy. I'm going to be sitting with some friends tonight. It's been a long, long time, as I say, that I've had some kind of community guests on. We've had some guests recently. In fact, just out of pure coincidence, the most recent guests that we actually had was obviously Phil and Simon Thompson from the Thompson Brothers themselves. But the launch of that product, it came out, it hit the UK shelves on Monday this week, made me realize how long it's been since we actually had a little bit of gamification that wasn't overly complex, that was fairly straightforward, it was quite easy, and relied heavily on us trying to strip back our bias or our preconceptions of the things that we perhaps already have on the shelf. So throughout tonight, listen, this Thompson Brothers bottle, it's sold out completely. It's sold out within a space of 24 hours. I'll talk about that in a wee second. But nothing that we're going to talk about tonight is going to require any of you really to go out and be buying any more whiskey than you already have. If you've got enough whiskey on the shelf to pour yourself a few little blind samples and to kind of mix them up blind and then kind of try them without you knowing what they actually are, I suspect that you might be able to challenge some of your own preconceptions and some of the bias that you might have to the whiskey that you've already got on the shelf. Positively, in some respects, you could discover something that you're not particularly in love with and rediscover it again and realize that you can actually enjoy it. Or maybe something that you're paying over the odds for because you love it, because you believe it to be superb. You sip it blind and realize that it's just good, maybe even bang average. Preconceptions and bias works in both directions. So it's that kind of thing. And for a lot of us, we're often weaving value into it, how much we paid for a bottle. We'll talk about that tonight. For some of you, you care a bit less about that. It's much more about the organoleptics, about the flavor, the aroma, and all that kind of thing. It doesn't really matter as long as we are having fun interrogating our whiskies and maybe kind of helping ourselves develop our palate a wee bit more. If we're sipping something blind, we tend to taste things that we might have otherwise not picked up. It's just a fun and healthy thing to do. For anybody that's been around this channel for long enough, they will know. In fact, the first ever video that went live on this channel was about blind tasting. I've been obsessed with it ever since. The blind challenge that we host every year in Glasgow, challenging other channels, other YouTube channels on the year to do the blind challenge and things like that over the years. Constantly doing blind challenges at least once a year as a kind of end of year vPub or before we finish up for summer, that kind of thing. I love it. I love the fun of it. I love the gamification of it. And most people that get into it and realize that it's for fun and it's not necessarily always them that's on test. It's often the whiskey itself that's on test. they tend to have a wee bit of fun with it too. So that's the plan for tonight. I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are. But I'll raise a wee glass to welcome you all in regardless, wherever you are, wherever you're joining from. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Let's do what we always do and welcome in some of the beautiful whisky folk and dedicated barflies. Cheers, everyone, and welcome. Okay. Let's see how we're doing tonight. Fantastic to have you here. Fantastic to have your support. I'm going to scroll back a wee bit. I'm always looking for the orange. I'll try my best to pick up. If you type Aquavite or at Aquavite, it's usually lights up orange for me. And I can see y'all. Dan DVDW is saying, where is Aquavite? Sorry, Dan, I was a wee bit late tonight. There's always a few technical gremlins and things that we need to iron out when we've got guests in, and that manifests a little bit tonight. But hopefully we're going to be good with 4 of us on screen at the same time. Good to have you in, Dan. I hope you're keeping well. Dave Barnes, Sassenach saying, Roddy. Remember, those of you that are barflies, those of you that support me as an Aquavite barfly, when Roddy pops on screen, please welcome Roddy with his own emoji. It should still be part of the set, so if you're a barfly, if you've clicked that YouTube membership button, you support me as part of the channel, of course you do, but what you're really paying for is that I never ever need to put ads. I never put ads on the content anymore. The barflies see to it that I don't need to have ads. I'd never need to go to Google for any of that ad revenue. But as part of that, you will see, I'll stick it on screen right now, you'll see the Roddy emoji, and he might get a kick out of that when he appears to see the welcome from all of you guys. Let me see how I can switch that off now. There we go. But it's been a wee while since Roddy's been on. In fact, I had a direct message and a reminder very recently, one of them live from Jimmy Legg, reminding us that it's been a year since Roddy's been on the vPub. But he's joining us tonight. We're looking forward to it. Julian Rickman is here saying hi, Roy. Hi, Barflies. Good to have some amigos in the pub tonight. Good to have you in as well, Julian. Always a pleasure to welcome you, buddy. I hope you're well. And Watchman 999, that's Greg, is saying, Aquavite greetings. Are you going live vlog from Fish? I'm not going to Isla this year for Fishhill. I'm going to Campbelltown, and I won't be going live. Going live from a remote location is fraught with difficulty, anxiety, stress. And more than anything, when we go to these things like the Isla Festival or the Campbelltown Festival, and I hope you'll forgive me for this, I like to just let my hair down and relax a wee bit. So next week, I'm at the Campbelltown Malts Festival. There is not, therefore, a vPub next week. I haven't spoken to anyone else about doing a pop-up vPub. Jeff Whiskey often does a wee pop-up vPub when I don't go live on a Thursday, so he might be up for doing something next week. I'll let everyone know if that's the case, but keep your eye on his channel, subscribe to Jeff Whiskey, and he might be looking after you next week. Blair Stevens saying, good evening all, good evening Aquavite, good to see you, Blair, how are you keeping? I hope you and Annie are doing great, buddy, nice to see you. And Timothy is saying, good day, Roy and Barflies, from a dark and early Australian morning, 6:50 a.m. Watching with a cuppa and a bowl of porridge, might pour a cheeky dram for the quiz at the end. You're a superstar, Timothy. Thank you. You're a bit of a trooper. I appreciate it. A lot of the guys south of the equator tune in on the replay. For all of you, whether you're live or on the replay, welcome. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. But it's nice to be able to welcome in somebody from so far away on a Friday morning too. Dr. Bones, that looks like a new name. I have to watch and catch up Aquavite, but wanted to share how exciting it was earlier to rip the top off my Mystery Malt to find the 29-year-old Speyside. Nearly fell over laughing. Love to the Thompson Brothers. That's great. Fantastic. So I've seen quite a few different ones now. I've seen the Altmore come out. I've seen the Lochlee. I've seen the Nicknean. I've seen somebody with a Bunnahabhain. I've seen somebody with a Speyside now. 29-year-old. I'm trying to think what else. There's certainly been a good mix being opened. All 4 of us have our own individual bottles tonight. We could all end up with the same thing. We could end up with an overlap. You just never know what's going to happen. It's going to be exciting to see. Ryan Sutherland from away up there at 8 Doors Distillery. He's joining in as well, saying, hello, Roy. Good to see you, big guy. Hope you're well. Hope the sun is as bright up there as it is down here. It's been fabulous the last 2 weeks. Harrow Whiskey Weekend Drama saying, good evening. Good evening, buddy. How are you keeping? Max Kreitner in Austria saying, good evening, my friend, from the Kreitners. Sadly, those Thompson releases aren't available here, but it is fun to see what people are getting. The release was 1,328 bottles, Max, you're right. It was only UK for this Series 1 release. But we hear from the Thompson Brothers that they're readying a larger release. They're upscaling things in order to go for some export coverage as well. Henrik Schmidt is saying Eurovision Song Contest and Aquavite vPub at the same time. Is it Eurovision tonight? Henrik, I had no idea. My girls are usually into that. I wonder why they've not even... I know why they're not, because it's exam time and they've got their head in the study mode. Tom Gullen is saying, hello, first time watching, got a 9-year-old Klein Leash from the Mystery Malt, enjoying it with my partner right now. Tom, fantastic to have you in, buddy. I hope you're enjoying that wee 9-year-old Klein Leash. I hope it's gone down well, and I hope that was a pleasant surprise for you to open. Nice to welcome you, Tom, and your partner, whatever their name may be. Stevie O, my pal Stevie's in saying, Aquavite skiving off again, Roy. Can't get the staff. Talking about my trip to Campbelltown next week. I know, buddy, you know it as well. Greg is saying, any thoughts on Rogers whiskey? Are they similar to Thompson Brothers? Rogers whiskey. Greg, I need to apologise. I've no idea what Rogers whiskey is. I always feel a wee bit awkward when somebody mentions something that I don't recognise, but there you have it. Rogers whiskey. Chris Pollack is saying Eurovision semis. It's the semis, is it, Chris? Thank you for that. Drew from Arizona is saying the words Roy and Blind Challenge conjure up wonderful memories, Aquavite. What I have in the glass looks very similar to what you're having, but mine is apple juice. Drew was over a couple of years ago for the Glasgow event that we held. On the Sunday, we did the Aquavite Challenge, and Drew was here as a part of that. It's good to hear that it was wonderful memories and not traumatic memories. A lot of people do take it quite seriously, and a lot of people do very, very well at it too. No Mystery Malt here. Pre-house move bottle ban, says Helen. She's making a move from away down in deepest, darkest Milton Keynes up to sunny Campbelltown in the next couple of weeks. So they're in full stress mode. Helen, Andy, I hope you guys are not too stressed. I hope you're not too tired. And I hope the move is going smoothly for you. I really do. Matthew Burton is saying Aquavite might catch you in Campbelltown next week. Sipping the first of my 2 Mystery Malts tonight, but not blind. 27-year-old Inchgower. That, I have to admit to you, Matthew, 27-year-old Inchgower, I would like it to be that, if it could be. I know it's quite low odds. I think it's only a 2 or 3% chance of getting that one, but I had my eye on that. It's not just the age, it's the fact it's Inchgower, all of that stuff. Matthew, I hope I do see you in Campbelltown next week, and we can raise a wee glass or at least shake hands or something like that. Please come up and introduce yourself. David is saying, evening, Roy, Blind Challenge. Let's go. We all love Roy, the whiskey commentator, or Roy, the whiskey explorer. I personally especially love Roy, the game show host. Well, David, thank you very, very much. With nice comments, you can come back anytime, buddy. I don't know how much of a game show we're going to make of this, but we're going to talk about a couple of concepts, certainly. Peter Lee is saying, see you on Wednesday. Look forward to it, buddy. It's a week yesterday, isn't it? Only 6 days to go. And David Brody from Isla is saying, hi Roy, my head's mince. Heading into the next few weeks, got a wee sample of a 2005 Manthania to sip, and it's proper. Fantastic, Davey. It's nice to welcome you in here. And I know that the Fashil Festival and the summer weeks and the summer season for you are going to be hectic, but I know you probably have a lot of fun doing it as well, David. Here's to you and here's to your health, buddy. Nice to have you in. All right, let's get on with it. I'm going to show you what we have here. An opaque glass bottle, almost black, very, very dark brown glass bottle, let's say. And it's just got a big, huge kind of question mark on the front there. And on the back, it says Thompson Brothers Mystery Malt with a wee QR code down here at the bottom left. And it describes itself as single malt Scotch whisky. So that means all of the 16 possibilities that this bottle could be are all single malt Scotch whisky. It may be old, it may be young, it says. It may be rare, or maybe not. But we think it's special, which is why we have hidden the name and age of this whisky beneath the capsule. Because we would love for you to open this bottle and hopefully enjoy drinking it too. Slancha, the Thompson Brothers. Series number 1. Each series of Mystery Malt includes entries from many different distilleries. From new wave to established stills, if you can't stand the suspense, scan the QR code to see what it could be. 48.5% ABV. Of course, all the ABVs have to be the exact same. And that's the only thing that unites these whisky, the fact that it's Scotch single malt. 48.5% ABV, and hopefully the price as well. Hopefully everybody paid retail of £65. Now, a lot of us will maybe get a bottle of the Thompson Brothers stuff or any other kind of special bottle that we like, and we might be tempted to say, oh, I'm glad to have this, and pop it on the shelf. This is an exceptional idea. And the first thing that I think makes it positive is that we're really keen to open this. All the social media posts are of people going, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to keep this sealed. So it's kind of injecting that really fun thing, that almost kiddie-like, wide-eyed excitement back into whiskey again, where we're really genuinely excited to be opening the bottles, almost a way back at the start of our journey, right? When we couldn't, keep the bottles sealed past the threshold, they were getting torn open and you were trying them because you're just really keen to get into it and get on with the exploration. Over time, we can become a wee bit jaded. We start to hoard, we start to over-accumulate maybe even collect or whatever it may be. But this is encouraging us to open bottles without the bullying aspect. Nobody's bullying anybody to open bottles, but there have been waves of encouragement over the years. As soon as there's an awareness in the community that there's a lot of overaccumulation, a lot of hoarding happening, not a lot of trade being done through the distilleries, through the retailers, that kind of thing. Things have slowed down a bit in time. So there's an encouragement that tends to grow from that for other people to open bottles. But this is a really cool way of doing it. There's a good chance that this release, and it's not happened in a long time, is going to be majority opened and explored. Another thing that I think is brilliant about this as well is that even if someone does keep it, even if someone does flip it on auction, because everybody that sees that on auction knows that they've got every chance of getting something that they've tried before and don't get on with, tried before, don't want to try again, as well as something that they might have never tried. They're going to know that the odds of every single bottle are the same. So I don't see the auction secondary market appeal to this either. I think these are positive things. Think about the positivity as well as a second point for the retailer. When they're kind of, they're looking for these cool, interesting things to talk about, these things to generate a bit of buzz, these things to get people through the door, that'll not only get people through the door and buying the bottle because they're intrigued by this as a concept, but they're getting then to try something that they might not have tried before. And the next time they go into that retailer, maybe, just maybe, their horizons have been opened a little bit. It generates a wee bit of trade, a bit of fun, a bit of relationship building, a bit of chatter for the retailer. And that then rolls on to, doesn't it, the distilleries that are involved. Let's imagine that I open this tonight and I get, I don't know, let's say I open a Speyside tonight. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Because the Speyside is 29-year-old. But maybe that's the first Speyside I've ever opened. And I'm not speaking about Speyside as a region. I'm talking about from the distillery called Speyside Distillery. Let's imagine I open that and I decide it's delicious. That then opens a whole other official line of bottles. I can literally go out and buy any of the Spey branded releases to connect a wee bit more with that distillery. I can then keep an eye out for Speyside Distillery being bottled by other independent bottlers at any age right across the spectrum. So for the distilleries that are involved in this project, it's positive, I think, for them too. This is an exciting thing that injects a lot of fun, a lot of freeze-on of excitement, a lot of energy into whiskey at any time that they would have launched a concept like this. I know that the Thompson Brothers did talk to me a wee bit about mentioning the chap whose idea this was. I wanted to do that, and I'm going to take a moment just to make sure. I think the guy's name was Mark, but I want to be sure. This is not very professional of me, but in 2022, someone came up with this idea. And I think I was told who it was. And they had a gaming site. That's terrible. That's really bad. if I don't find this, I'm going to put it in the comments so you can see it. Also worth a mention, not Mark, also worth a mention to Tom, founder of the website construct.net/EN. So I'm going to just put that in here right now. In fact, if I do that, I can probably copy that link, right? Copy. Will I be able to paste straight into here? Hopefully any moderators will let me paste this in here. If I can, maybe not. I have to do it the long way. Normally I'm prepared for this type of stuff, but I think it's worth it. I think it's worthwhile just taking a moment. Because when somebody comes up with any good ideas, any original ideas, I think that credit is always worth doling out. Right, here we go. I can definitely copy it now. Copy and paste into this chat here. So Tom in 2022 suggested this idea to the Thompson Brothers, and they took it seriously. They were open to it. Took them a wee while to get round to it. This is quite a complex thing to put together. And here we have it. £65 a bottle. So the price, the ABV, and the fact that it's Scotch whisky and from the Thompson Brothers and a few other things like 70CL and stuff like that, you know, that's the only thing that makes this the same. So the excitement of tearing this little foil strip off tonight, I think I'm ready for it. It's taken me, I've had to wait since Monday, since I picked these up. I gave a bottle to each of my, it's almost true, I bought 3 bottles. I gave one to Roddy, I gave one to Stefan, and Ian Petrie, I discovered that he had a bottle en route to him, and I said, tell you what, I'll cover the cost of your bottle if you fancy joining us on Thursday night. And he said, oh, I absolutely, he's up for that. But of course it meant that Ian had to keep his unopened until tonight and opening it live with us as well. So we can have a bit of fun and a bit of playfulness. What is your thoughts of the concept? Did you manage to get a bottle? And if you did, I suspect there will not be many of you. Did you manage to keep it sealed? Peter Lee's bought me a wee dram. He said, great to see you and Gregor on Monday at the Glasgow Whisky Club. Enjoy that gift of your Clynelish when you get a chance to open from Denise and I. Here is a dram for you. Peter, you're forever generous, buddy. Thank you so much. Peter managed to buy me a really, really nice gift. A birthday gift live and hand it to me at the club. He's a superstar. He always is. Him and Denise are fantastic. And they're in here. Should be working, Peter, right? It's not time for you to you're not off hire yet, right? Thank you for your dram, buddy, and thank you for your generosity. Cheers, Peter. Pedro is in from Brazil saying good evening, Aquavite and Barflies. Wonderful to see you, Pedro. I hope you're keeping well, my friend. Hope things are going well down in Brazil. Always great to welcome you here. And Klitz is saying you connecting with the Speyside Distillery didn't sound too great on the E150 vPub. Yes, that is true. They are the providers of Bendu under a different brand, of course. The black whiskey are one of the most recent black whiskies. There's a lot of truth in that as well. And that is not an easy whiskey to recommend to anyone. Tom Gullen is saying, it's me. Thanks for the shout out. Oh, fantastic, Tom. So that is you, construct.net. I didn't expect to see you in here, buddy. I had no idea, Tom. I think it's the first time I've welcomed you in the vPub as well. That's wonderful to have you here. Well done. And it must be nice for you to see a product on the back of your idea. Fantastic to have you in. Auderty is saying Tom Gullen is in. Fantastic. So Auderty knows about Tom as well. And in Whiskey Veritas, Oliver is saying Aquavite, mine is still sealed in the post office round the corner. Oh, nightmare, Oliver. Maybe pick it up in the replay and open it alongside us. If you can wait that long. Meep 1313 is in Aquavite. I haven't decided if it's a great idea or a cynical marketing ploy, and I'll let you know which when I've opened my bottle and I find out if I've got the 29-year-old or not. It's kind of funny that everyone's after the older stuff. I think a lot of people are going to be quite surprised how much they enjoy some of the younger stuff. Ian Williamson is saying, even Roy Aquavite managed to get hold of my two Mystery Malt bottles, both opened the same evening they arrived. I have no patience at all. Ian, you're speaking to the converted. Yeah, preaching to the choir. Absolutely the same as me. Fantastic stuff. Sean Cosler, why don't you share with us what you got? Sean Cosler is saying, Ralphie thought it too much of a gimmick on Bothy Live last night. Personally, I think it's a great idea. There's going to be, it is definitely one of these kind of mindset things. But I think once you sit with it for a bit, maybe you can see that there's positive spins to the thing. Mel is saying good evening, Barflies, and good evening, Roy Aquavite. Good to see you in, Mel. Always nice to welcome you. And Doodle Dram Arnie is saying, hey, Roy, all you dear Barflies feeling a bit bunged up tonight. Oh, it's a shame, Arnie. So every dram would be a mystery malt right now. Tea for me and relaxing with you. Arnie, it's wonderful to have you in, buddy. I'm sorry to hear that you're not too well. I hope you didn't pick up anything at the club on Monday night, because I was there with you, sitting right next to you. I don't want to be in for anything else, thanks. But here's to your health. Feel better soon, buddy. Jennifer Mitchell, recent supporter. She's in and she's saying, couldn't resist. Delighted to get a Klein Leash 9-year-old. Also chuffed to be able to identify it blind. First time getting any blind whiskey right. Now, does that mean it's a very typical Klein Leash? Does it have that really kind of creamy, waxy character? What was it? Was it the fruit, the farminess? What would you pick it out as Klein Leash? Danny Keenan is saying, when I arrive home tomorrow, I'll bypass the missus and the dog and go straight for the mystery malt. Gordon Burniston is saying, love the concept, a bit of funny. We're doing a 6-dram mystery malt tasting at the Southside Whisky Club in Glasgow, if any Barflies fancy it. Thanks to the Good Spirits Co for helping us out. Gordon, fantastic. Listen, if any Barflies are local to Glasgow, type in the date that's going to happen, Gordon. That'll help you attract any Barflies who are curious to come along to the Southside Club. And it's brilliant that you're going to do 6. I hope that the shuffle system that they have in place mean that there's a good chance that you get very little duplication or you get a good mix. Ian Williamson is saying the mystery malt bottles were 11-year-old Stoisha. That's the Bunnahabhain. And I think they labelled it as Bunnahabhain as well. It was one of the Dramface reviews that went out. And a 5-year-old McNean managed to get the Stoisha blind, though. Well impressed. Okay. See, there's a lot of swagger happening. There's a lot of people that are managing to get their whiskey right and having fun with the blind tasting. That's what we're going to do tonight. Oh, there's a very generous dram come in from my pal in San Francisco, Aaron, who's coming back over to Scotland once more later this year for the Glasgow Whisky Festival. Aaron, that's fantastic, buddy. Thank you so much for participating with us tonight. And thank you for that ridiculously generous dram, buddy. You're a superstar. Here's to you. I need to get something else in the glass. There's plenty of this to raise a glass to Aaron. Cheers, buddy. It was the waxiness, says Jennifer, and the similarity to the Sutherland blend from Thompson Brothers, which is one of my favourites. Good for you. Good for you. I hope your canniness in picking up what the whiskies are continues, Jennifer. Right, let's get on with what we're going to do tonight. Now that I've summarised what I think of the concept, the fact that I think it to be a positive thing, doesn't mean any of my guests need to feel equally as enthusiastic as I do. They can come back with any kind of cynical angle that they want. They can tell us how they feel. Like I say, I've given a bottle to Roddy and to Stefan. All 3 bottles I bought myself from Glasgow's Good Spirits Company here. So there's nothing sponsored here. I didn't talk to the Thompson Brothers about doing this type of thing. I said to them I might be interested in doing something with the bottles, but these are, like everything I do in the vPub, these are things I'm going to buy myself and just please my own self and do exactly what I want to do. And Roddy, Stefan, and Ian are all members of the Glasgow Whisky Club, and they were invited on board to help me out with that this week, because I realised that rather than me just sitting here doing it solo, it could be more fun to have a bit more interaction. And obviously it gives everybody a wee bit of their Roddy fix as well. So let's get our guests on tonight. All of the guests that are joining us tonight have been on before. You'll hopefully recognise all their faces. For a couple of them, it's been a couple of years. And as I've been reminded by some of you very, very recently, even for Roddy, it's been a year. So let's get Roddy in first. Let's see how he's doing. Let me click over to Roddy. You good to come in, big guy? Yeah, it looks like he is. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Wonderful.
I'm very well. How you doing?
Aye. Can you believe I'm getting a row if I leave it for too long before I get a bit of Roddy in? Look at, I don't know if you can see the chat, buddy, based on whatever screen you're looking at right now, but the chat is absolutely full of little tiny tie-dye t-shirt wearing Roddies.
Oh,
and it's brilliant to see. It's fantastic, buddy. You must get a lot of people coming by the shop who spot your face as well, right?
Yes, that does happen. Yes,
yeah. Hopefully, it's a nice thing. I know you're at your work, and I know that it can be tough to take a lot.
It's lovely,
of time.
I think, the the barfly community, you know, it's the most positive thing in whiskey that I know. And
That's lovely to hear.
I'm very privileged to be a part of it. You know, I just, you know, it's a lovely, lovely thing, and I also really appreciate, you know, these blind things. You know, like the public humiliation thing. You and I on Monday night were talking about the Ben Roma 21 debacle.
I lose sleep over that to this day, and yet I realise how important it is for us to step up and do that, though.
Mhm.
You know, if we can't encourage other people to blind taste whiskey and play with whiskey if we're not willing to do it, right? There's a myth that we should be able to pick this up and go, oh, this is a bourbon cask. Oh, this is clearly Speyside, classic Speyside region. And oh, this is the XABV. I think it's this age and it's probably this character in this distillery. When we're doing that about whiskey, what we're talking about is the whiskey. And I think almost where it's from most of the time is incidental to the enjoyment. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's you know, I'm tasting whiskey every day, and 90% of the time, you know, I'm looking at it through the commercial lens. You know,
Right.
you know you know we get samples sent into the shop, and the first question is, did they also send the price list? And if they didn't send the price list, then, you know, we don't bother tasting them till they've sent the price list, because we can't, you know, we can't decide.
Can you sell it or not? Right?
Yeah. So you know, to be able to step away from that viewpoint, that lens is always just, you know, and that's one of the reasons why the club is so good, and why I've been a member so long, because it's many of the things at the club are things that we don't stock.
Yes.
So, you know,
many of the things that we share at the club are things that I haven't even seen. It's quite a privileged wee club we run there, right? I say we, you run. It's a magic thing, right?
No.
The club, Glasgow Whisky Club, has been one of the biggest things in my whiskey life. You know, you talk about the barfly community, I would agree with you. Absolutely, it's wonderfully positive. And the more the people like you step up and recognise that, Roddy, I think the more it endures, the more it encourages us to keep it positive and all of that stuff. There's lots of places that we can go and get serious about whiskey, analytical about whiskey, judgmental about whiskey. But in our community, it's nice to just kind of try all of those things, but at the end of the day, have a bit of good old fun with it. And I think that's the thing. Yes. So if we're willing to, okay, so if there is humiliation tonight, we don't really care, right? Or we hope that it's such that it's not really bad. The thing is, tonight I think we're off the hook, because one of them, it's going to be like throwing a dart into a dartboard, because we're trying to pick one whiskey in 16, and the one a wee bit later should be a lot easier for me but harder for you. So the one that's probably up for the most humility will likely be me again. I know what I'm sipping, so I should do a wee bit better. Let's get the other two in and see how we can get on with it tonight, see how we do. Let's get in. A lot of you hopefully remember my friend Stefan K, our mutual friend, Roddy and I's mutual friend Stefan K, who's been on the vPub quite a few times in the past. And also a couple of years ago, you might remember we had a fantastic session talking about, specifically a part of the vPub was dedicated to our other national drink, Iron Brew. And we had our pal Ian Petrian to participate in that one as well. So Stefan, if you're ready, big guy, nice to have you in the vPub. And Ian back in as well. Superb to see you. Wonderful to have you both in. I hope you're both comfortable and well.
Raring to go.
Good stuff.
Really good, yeah.
Stefan is on your bottom left of the screen. Ian Petrie is on the bottom right of the screen. Have you all got, guys, have you got your Thompson Brothers Mystery Malt? Let's just hold them all up at the camera for a wee screen grab. Should anybody be interested in such a thing? Ian's trying to work out how to position it as mirror screen on or whatever. Great stuff. They're all still sealed, right? All our foil capsules are still completely sealed and intact. Oh, Stefan, this is the excitement. This is it. This is you.
I wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure that I can open it without lifting the top or ripping the bottom part.
So it was a little bit of prep.
Sealed, only this.
I'll tell you what we're going to do then. We're going to do this together Or I tell you what, I'm going to do it first, because we do have to be careful that with this foil that we do peel it back slowly and carefully, because I know the label underneath that betrays what's in these bottles is on the top here, on a sticker on the top of the cork. But also it's a strap type label that comes over the bottleneck so that it's labeled on the side, so that if you've got two bottles open at the same time, you're not going to confuse the caps. Okay, so sorry, you're not going to confuse the bottles of liquid. So I'm just going to try to, this is peeling quite cleanly for me, and I'm not going to pay any attention in case I do expose any of the paper. I've exposed a wee bit of the paper there, but I'll hold that up for it to focus on that. In fact, I'll just zoom in on me. You guys keep yours sealed for now. Don't want to remove. I want that to just focus on me for now. Hopefully you can see there, if the camera focuses on this rather than me. No, it doesn't want to. Let me try. I'll peel it off completely and hold it right up. But you can see there is no way I can read anything on that little paper label. So if I just carefully uncork it, keep the foil capsule on the top, put it over to the side, and I won't be tempted to pick it up, fidget, or peer at it. Look here, still no way of telling what it is, and I can finally get my Mystery Malt into the glass. I've got no idea. I can clearly see the colour. So we've got our first clue of what we're looking at by the colour of the whiskey. This is great fun. This is genuinely good fun, for me at least. Let's go back to the guys. Right, let's get it open, boys. Let's see if you can carefully do it. Stefan's already taken care of the foil tear. He's going to be first to get into his. We're not going to tell anyone right now what we have, because we've got a bit of gamification to go through before we can work out what we actually have in the bottle. You've been spotted, Ian, from your previous roles in the advertising industry as our Iron Brew guy.
The advert that never goes away.
It never goes away, especially now it's on YouTube on loop forever. It's there for perpetuity. Good man. So you can pop that off to the side and you're not tempted to have a look at it. Stefan, same for you. You're clear, you're open. Roddy's open as well. Let's get it into the glass then. Ginger Genius John, good to see you. Guest vPubs are always great. Fingers crossed for humiliation. It keeps it real. Other Taste saying, I never thought I could be so excited by 4 grown men opening bottles. Yeah, I have to be honest, it would have been nice if we'd have had 1 or 2 women in opening bottles as well. But these guys were just the most willing, the most at hand, the easiest to bully into doing it. Fantastic. Right, is it in the glass? We're all in. Yes. Right, can we just hold it up to see the colour for everyone? Oh, Stefan, yours is looking a wee bit darker. And Ian's is looking light. Roddy's is kind of maybe just a notch paler than mine. Now, obviously, camera calibration, colours, all of that, it could be different. You know, it could be that we're sipping the same thing and they look like a different colour and things. But already I'm starting to think there's a chance that we're not all sipping the same whiskey, right? So I would want to first, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions as we go through this. And I've got some slides here we'll go through to keep us right, to try and keep us on track, that type of thing. But you bought your own bottle, Ian.
Yeah.
65 quid. What made it? All of the people on screen right now, we know our way around a glass of whiskey, right? We've probably got a proportion of our house that's got far too much whiskey in it, right? And yet this concept comes out, Ian, and you pulled the trigger. Was it exciting for you?
Yeah, because you had that list of what it was, that made that kind of fun of, I'm a big Inchcour fan as well, so I tried the cast strength version of the Inchcour. I thought that'd be lovely to have. any chance to get hold of a Dornish bottle, which I could never usually get hold of, would be lovely.
Right.
An Ardnamurchan. And then when you look down the list, there's not a dram on there that I wouldn't be happy to have in the house. So that's great. And it's nice to do something a bit different, something where sometimes when you buy a bottle and you know the distillery, you know the independent bottler, whoever, you can have a really good idea of buying it blind, which is good and it's nice and safe.
Yes.
But there's also that fun thing of occasionally just buying a bottle and going, this is going to be mince or awesome. And if you've got the time, if you've got the money and it's your hobby and it's your passion, it's not always a bad idea to try whiskey you don't like, because you'll either go, I'll learn about it, or no, I'm right, that is mince. And then you can, and occasionally it's even fun when people come round, you go, try this, not naming any distilleries. It's absolutely terrible. And you go, oh my goodness, they normally bottle great stuff. I know. So something like that. But with the list that was on it, I was pretty sure it was going to be pretty good, no matter what.
Well, let me ask you, Stefan, in your experience, do you buy much stuff from the Thompson Brothers?
I only bought 2 bottlings. I bought the Limburg Sutherland. Or
yes,
I had a courier. I had a whiskey mule who got it for me.
Good.
But other than that, not really. I was intrigued by this, and I thought this is really good. But by the time I really found out, it came out on Monday, it was sold out.
So it was already sold out. Yeah.
And I thought, do I need more whiskey? Not really. But when this opportunity came up, I thought, maybe I need more whiskey, because this is really interesting. I think it's something for those of us who have already too much, because it's if you buy only 3 bottles a year, you're not going to likely go for this relatively risky approach, and say, But if you buy quite a bit, we are the people that probably this is targeted at, and we all got into it.
I wonder if I'm going to be able to push back on the risk thing or the potential mince thing or that type of stuff. Roddy, when you stock Thompson Brothers stuff, does it tend to move quite quickly from the shop?
Certainly, the everything that's under £100 evaporates.
Yeah.
The pricier bottles can be slower.
Of course, it's Glasgow.
Yeah, it's Glasgow, but anything that's under 100 will go, and like for example this Mystery Malt, it was ridiculous. The launch day, one of my colleagues bought a bottle and opened it because we wanted to know, and it was the Lochley.
Yep.
And I loved it. Don't tell Jimmy Legg, but I'm developing a Lochley cocktail, and I've got as far as thinking I need something a little stronger than the standard 46, but not the sherry cask of the cask strength. So this 48.5% bourbon barrel Lochley was just delicious, and I could see it was going to be perfect. So then I had this daft haggle with my colleague. It's like, if I get a bottle, will you do a swap with me? Which bottle does it have to be? But in the time it took us to do this haggle, we sold out.
So you didn't get your own. You didn't even get a bottle.
No, because I was too slow. I was having this debate with John about what would be an acceptable swap.
Well, that's when I walk into the shop and you're there, happy smiley face to welcome me, and then you see Alex bringing me a bag of 3 Mystery Malts. So I can imagine that you were struck with a wee bit of ire. But Stefan, whiskey finds you. The only downside is you had to peer in the vPub to do it, but you ended up with a bottle anyway. So it's good how it all works out. So that means, Roddy, you are up for a wee bit of humiliation if you are sitting sipping a Lochley and you don't pick it out as such, right? So that's the thing. I've got some initial thoughts of mine. I've not had a sip yet, but I've got some thoughts. What were you going to say?
When I poured this and it was pale, I immediately got the fear, Roy.
Yeah, this could be my Lochley. Right, superb. I think mine is pale. I'm going to just say, before we start going into the questions and things like that, I mean, mine's is nosing a bit on the youthful side. I I think I'm fairly confident that it's about 48, 49% ABV.
No,
We'll get something right.
no.
And I think that I think this is a first fill bourbon. This is everything about this. On the nose tonight, for me, is first fill bourbon. It might come across a wee bit different as I taste it. It's probably going to end up being the cognac cask or something like that. You never know. But there you go. That's my gut instinct is that I'm looking at a bourbon cask and it's fairly young. Roddy, what's your first approach telling you?
Yeah, so looks like a bourbon barrel, tastes like a bourbon barrel. I'm not finding even a trace of smoke in it at all. It smells and tastes young. It's got a nice kind of crunchy sort of maltiness to it. Like malt and a sort of wee honey thing, But you know, I always struggle with, like, I never like to say the word crisp about whiskey because it doesn't make sense,
Okay,
But and yet here's a whiskey that I'm thinking this is crisp.
And I think the difficulty is not the words you use, it's how they're received, right? And someone else has to kind of understand when Roddy means a crisp whiskey, I know from experience that he's meaning something along these lines. That can help a wee bit. But I know exactly what you mean. And I think texture should be spoken about, and it's one of the harder things to speak about. This is changing on me as I sip it. It definitely is. Stefan, what are you getting on first approach with yours?
A lot of strange things, cardboard, positive cardboard, and a herb that I was trying to think what it is. I think it's a thyme or oregano or something like this, which was a bit strange. And I have to say, I looked at the list, which I'm not showing to. So this influenced my thinking what it could be, because I think it is, as you said, it's slightly darker than the others, but I don't think it could be the same color. There's not hardly anything red about it. So it could maybe be a first fill bourbon, but it doesn't at all. Well, it doesn't at all. It might be one, who knows? I don't think it's a first fill bourbon. It's more, so I picked a few from the list that I have. I'm not saying anything, and before then I wait for a bit until I make a fool of myself by saying what it might be. I don't think it's very young. I think it's rather on the upper half of the age, but we'll see.
Sounds like Stefan, when you talk about nice cardboard and a hairball, there's a good chance you're at something that's been in maybe a refill cask for quite a while. How about you, Ian?
I was actually just looking at Mr. Kyle while he was doing his tasting notes, and Stefan still to this day casts up to me that in John Lamon's whiskey class, doing the blind tasting at the end, thought that a 12-year-old Highland Park was I think I said it was a Hanky Bannister 12-year-old or something like that, or a Highland Queen, a malt of a blend of not comparable quality. So I have decided to go the other way as opposed to Stefan and hedge my bets. And I'm gonna cast my coin out early because this is really light. It's quite fiery, it's quite young, but it's got a florally perfume thing in the nose, which I can't quite break down exactly what it is. And of the ones that I can just think of off the top of my head that's in that list, I think I might have the nickname because I've only had a few of them, and they've had that
around the vPub. We would call that a snipe, Ian. You've not done anything you've not done anything to kind of narrow things down. You've not gone through the process.
That I'm scared, but I've brought a sniper with me.
You are actually a certified sniper. Fantastic. So that's. I don't feel confident enough to do that right now. I'm picking up something on the palate that's making this much more a quirky whiskey than at first approach for me. It's starting to change and morph. I want a couple of caveats as well. It happened to me very, very recently. The most recent one that it happened with was a Glasgow 10-year-old, when they released a 10-year-old. After that bottle got over the shoulder, it doubled in experience for me. It became something really, really quite wonderful compared to the neck pour. Whether you think that neck pour is a thing or not, for me it definitely is. And it tends to be the first dram out of some bottles of whiskey. Some of the time can take a wee while for things to open up. I suspect that for most of our bottles here, it's not until we get to the shoulder or beyond that we're going to really have a time to get to know this and to decide whether or not we like it or not. So the only thing you're going to get, anybody's going to get tonight, is first impressions. Normal caveats apply. The other thing that happened is that 3 bottles were not delivered to me. I picked them up from the Good Spirits Company. And for logistic reasons, Ian's bottle got shipped to me as well. So I took all 4 bottles out and I gave Stefan the choice to take whichever bottle he wanted. So he picked the bottle in a bag, for it was easy for him to carry. And then he took the bottle out the bag and switched it around for another one. And I then took those 3 bottles into Roddy. And Roddy picked his from the 3. That's not strictly true. It was only 3 bottles because Ian's stayed in a box. The only one that is absolutely not had any kind of interference is Ian's. And the reason for that is that Ian had ordered his directly and he was going to get exactly the bottle that he ordered, and I wasn't going to interfere in that process. I hope that makes sense. But it means that me, Stefan, and Roddy have ended up with just absolutely random things. There's no way I could control. And it doesn't matter. We couldn't have known what was in there anyway. So basically, whatever's in my bottle, that's my way of saying it's your fault. It's you, Stefan and Roddy's fault, what I've got here. Okay, so we're going to get some questions answered now. Seb K in Portugal, good to see you, buddy. Saying, I remember that Glasgow 10 at the Bon. Wow, fantastic, Seb. Glad you're enjoying it too. Jeff Whiskey saying, Eden Aquavite. And you wonderful barflies just briefly pop in my head. And listen, buddy, I've mentioned that you might be thinking that because I'm not around, you might be doing a pop-up vPub next week. But I've realised, no, you're actually waiting on baby number 2 to arrive. So there's very little chance there'll be a Jeff Whiskey vPub next week. I might need to search around to see if there's anybody else. Jimmy Leg is in. What crisp is Roddy blabbing about Aquavite? So I don't think he was saying very much until his name was mentioned there, Roddy. You prodded the monster, okay? It's on you. Mike Molasses is saying, sticking his neck out on the ABV lol lets him taking a pop at me, guessing that it was between 48 and 49% ABV. No bad, it's the only thing I'm going to get right tonight. And Arnie is saying, Stefan surely takes home the sexiest accent award tonight. That's coming from a fellow German, of course. That's Arnie from Germany, and also a Glaswegian these days, an adopted Glaswegian adopted German. Good to have you in, buddy. You've got quite a nice accent too. All right, let's go on with the questions. What do you say? The obvious one to ask right from the get-go is, do we like them? Do we like them? So I'm going to go first. I'm going to have a wee sip of mine. I don't know what I'm sipping. There is an oddness to this that is difficult for me to put my finger on. It's a wee bit like a kind of acidic, drying, slightly stone fruity edge to things, a wee bit of a kind of herbal edge. I'm drawn to some kind of odd cask all of a sudden, where I started with first fill bourbon, but it might be something that's in the spirit itself. It tastes a wee bit older than it was nosing. So I'm basically saying that my conviction that I had at first nose is now starting to crumble a little bit. But I can safely say that I'm already intrigued. I'm already enjoying this whiskey. It's going to take me a dram or two to decide whether I'm happy paying 65 quid, so I'll hold my water for a wee bit longer. But I think I'm in a comfortable space so far. I don't know if that's going to hold water with you guys. What would you say, Roddy?
Yes, I do. It tastes, as I taste it more, it tastes like a modern whiskey. So this is something that, if I was doing a tasting, I'd have that fairly early in the lineup, or of an evening, I would have this before moving on to something older and mankier. And I think the crispness in this, that wee bite to it, it says to me that it would be a good mixing ingredient. Scotch whiskey can be quite tricky to mix, but you know, you take sherry barrels out the equation, and that makes it much easier. And then when you've got something like a bit of acidity to the dram, then that makes it easier to get balance. So
you've got a bit of interest. You've
Yeah.
got a bit of curiosity to it. The Ginger Genius John is keeping us on our tracks and saying, before anyone reveals, would anyone go out and buy the bottle they've got again? I think we're going to absolutely cover that. We're going to talk about it. Graham Young is saying, sipping a beauty tonight, Canadian whiskey a la Claudette, sweet, sour, powerful, and certainly opinionated. Claudette is his wife, just like the maker herself. Fantastic. Oh, Canadian whiskey sour. Oh, sorry. So there, you're in good company, Roddy. It's okay to talk about mixed drinks. Graham Young is absolutely partaking in the same. So you're quite comfortable. You're quite happy that you've got 65 quid's worth in your bottle there. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Stefan.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, on you go.
Sorry, Roddy. No, please go ahead, Roddy.
No, just I think, you know, that, like, tasting this and thinking where we are in the whiskey market today, this very comfortably fits into that slot, that north of 50 but south of 100 slot.
This is getting better and better each time. Of course, I'm nervous that there's peat in it and I'm not getting the peat, which is the Peat Blight that I'm renowned for. It can happen anytime. Stefan.
If I have it, sorry,
go ahead, Ian. You get it too, don't you?
If I end up with this Stoicha and I've missed it entirely, I think I'll just sell my collection.
That's right. No, seriously though.
Yeah, I'm in a similar spot as Roy, because what I just said earlier. Now I have to revise this, and now I'm looking at the lower end of that table. But it's such a and must be some sort of more interesting cask. It's much fresher and wood driven, but by, I suppose, young and more active wood. But then I look at the list and there's an octave, but a fresh octave, that's not enough. But then the rest is, so it's really difficult. And as you said, Roy, peat. Is there any peat? So I was thinking about the Highland Park cognac cask because of the odd cask, but now I'm thinking this. But then again, it's very little peat that you get in the Highland Park, but still something should be there. So I'm a bit lost. Whatever it is, by changing so much, when I tried it in our second glass. I have a second glass where I added a lot of water, not a lot, but some water.
Yep.
I think it's certainly an interesting whiskey. So I'm happy with it, and I would be happy.
And this is the chat that you and I have at the club a lot. Interesting whiskies. We love interesting whiskies. We've had lots of good whiskies, average whiskies, poor whiskies. What really makes us raise our eyebrows, right, is interesting whiskies. So, okay, we've got a thumbs up from Stefan, I would assume. Ian, what about yourself? Are you enjoying? Are you liking?
Really am, especially if I'm right in my bold claim, because it would be my favourite nickname that I've tried. I've only tried a couple, not a huge number, but this would be a big step up.
Doubling down with the nickname. I love it.
I'm looking directly down, and directly below that on the list is the word Lochlee. If it turns out to be a Lochlee, I will still be embarrassed. I'll post you back my sniper coin. I've got another one, so I'll keep that one. But if it turns out to be the Lochlee, it would be great, because if they're as young as they are, for £65, I've got this really fresh, really exciting. I mean, the notes are getting more pronounced as they go on. It's orange peel and oils and limey and apple and blossoms and stuff like that. So if a distillery that I hadn't maybe been as big a fan of in nickname is producing something like that, wonderful. If it's like Lochlee, who I've liked for a while, that's wonderful. I would, as it currently stands, I'd be very happy with the £65.
Right. Okay. Upon the question then, so I'm going to ask both questions separately. The first question is, do we like them? We're just going to do a show of hands, a thumbs up at the same time, or a thumbs down, or I suppose we could do that. But okay, we're all happy. I'm quite happy with this one as well. And this isn't kind of, I suppose it is a wee bit to kind of mark where the Thompson Brothers are on this release. But there's a lot of people going out there and saying, oh, what if I get the 4-year-old or the 5-year-old or whatever it may be? I think that the point I was trying to make earlier, and when Roddy's talking about in it and under 100 quid just evaporates from the shelf, Thompson Brothers are fairly well renowned for being a buy-on-site type product. if they've bottled something and you like the look of the distillery, the cask, the price, I think you're in good hands just to pick it up, generally speaking. So it's difficult to make a broad brush recommendation like that, but I think we're in good hands with the Thompson Brothers. So even the stuff at the lower age statement or the things we might be a bit less interested in, we should probably trust them a wee bit. So we've got 4 thumbs up on the screen, 5 because Robbie went for 2. So Roddy went for 2. So let's ask the same question again that Ian was answering there. Would we pay £65 for what we've got in the bottle? For me, I don't feel shortchanged at all that we paid, or I paid 65 quid for the bottle that I'm sipping in front of you just now. All right. Well, the next question is age. Ian's already committed. He's put his kind of colours. I have not tried to digest the table that Stefan's been talking about with the octave on it, the cognac cask and things like that. I am just coming to this as blind as I could possibly be. And I'm going to suggest that when I first nosed this, I was in the kind of 5 and 6 year old bracket. But as I've spent a wee bit of time with it, I'm going to up the age a bit. I think we're up at 8 to 10 years old now. So I should probably write down what I'm saying. 8 to 10, I'm going to say. And I'm going to ask Ian, you've already given us your thoughts, haven't you?
I'm gonna triple down. There's a feisty kind of but yes, again,
you're on that Nean train, and it's an express train all the way to Nean, isn't it?
If it turned around at this point when it's a 14-year-old Kalila, I mean, it would be a terrible turnaround. It wouldn't be a plot twist. It would be one of those things where people leave the cinema going, "Oh, rubbish." So sticking with what?
Okay, I'm getting a lovely wee sour taste again. Superb. I'm loving it more and more. Roddy, what are we thinking age?
So I'm probably, because having tasted the Lochlee, I was hoping for that, and I've persuaded myself that it's Lochlee. So this is a 4-year-old.
This is what I love about blind tasting. Strip away all the bias, all the preconception, and yet we go into it loaded with all our preconceptions, right?
Well, I mean, it fits because I can't get any peat. It's malty. Like, look, it's young, and I am looking at the list now. I wasn't initially, but so I think if it was Nean, it would be fruitier than it tastes to me.
Okay.
I think if it was Dornoch, like Dornoch to me has got a real kind of muscular. I think Dornoch would be fightier.
Yeah.
It would be more, it would be wrestling with my tongue. And then I
also think the fermentation room comes through really strong in
Dornoch,
the bread and the yeast and the.
Yes. Uh-huh. And then if it was Glenlivet, for me, Glenlivet has got a real kind of vinous, wine-like character, which I'm not finding in this. And I think it just doesn't, like, I'm a fan of Ardnamurchan. That's one of the distilleries that I do buy on the regular, and it just doesn't make me think murky at all. It just doesn't seem like it. So
I like that Ardnamurchan. You're shortening to Murky now because there's 2 Ardnas now, right? So we have to find another. What do we call Ardnaho then? Never mind.
Don't know yet. I don't know. You should know the reason why it's been shortened to Murky is because during lockdown, me and a group of friends that were getting through lockdown by having Zoom calls and dramming. We came up with a twist on the Jaeger bomb, which is the Murky bomb.
Oh, those were joyful dark days, right enough, weren't they?
So I haven't had a Murky bomb for several years, but the name has stuck at least.
So you were dropping a shot of Ardnamurchan
into
what?
a glass of beer.
Okay. Any specific beer, or whatever beer you were getting a hold of in lockdown?
I mean, I'm a booze retailer. I had that good access to beer, you know.
Yes.
From memory, and as I say, it's a few years. From memory, Murky Bombs work best with lagers, with German beers.
Fantastic. So there, I wonder how many barflies are going to be running home and trying Murky Bombs. I take no responsibility. It's all Roddy's fault. It's up to you what you're going to be doing.
I got sent a picture once, which is a picture of a Jägermeister, but surrounded by Iron Brew with the thing on the background saying Fanny Bomb. So there is also a thing you can do from that as well.
Ah, okay, of course. You cope with it quite well, Ian, don't you? You do.
Yes, you do.
So let me ask then, just as a quick aside before I move on, Roddy, do you stock Campervan Leith juice?
We have done them.
I'm not saying that that's going to be a thing that I would use for a murky bomb or whatever kind of thing the same. It's just that it's something that going through to Leith recently I've got my teeth into and I'm really loving it. I didn't mean to plug beer. It's not, this is the vPub, it's a virtual pub, but it's very much a whiskey pub. So you have done is the answer, you don't have it.
Yeah, we get bored easily, so we rotate through new things all the time, and the ones that persist are the ones that sell really well. Our customers, those things that they come back to, but then they're also looking for new stuff. So if something we get it in once and it's slow to sell, then we'll just move on.
I need to find a source for Leith juice this side of the country. Anyway, so Stefan, it's down to you.
Regarding age. Yes,
we've got 4 years old from Roddy. The nickname is a 5-year-old. Ian, is that right?
Nickname's 5, yeah.
Yep. So we've got 5 and a 4. I'm between 8 and 10. I'm being a wee bit. I can't remember the ages, but what you think? We're thinking you're a wee bit older, do we?
Yeah. Well, I changed my perception now completely. Not completely, but I think there's enough. It was interesting. I finished the first dram, and then the glass smelled a bit like when you have next morning glasses sitting there, and they smell only like this when you had a sherry dram. So or not necessarily a sherry dram, but something with a stronger wood influence, I would even say. So I'm now tempted to go for one of the younger drams and maybe one of those octaves. I see. So I would say one of those between 5 and 10. And we can exclude the 9 and 11-year-old because because it's not a Kleinlich, I'm pretty sure about that. There was also a Stoischer, there's not enough peat. So one of those, but then I didn't drink enough, so strangely, of Dornoch and American Glenwivis. I didn't drink enough to really get an idea of what the signature of these were. But that's currently my guess.
So you're similar to me then. Somewhere between 5 and 10, you're keeping it a bit broader. Okay, so that's what you think the age is. So there we have it. So I think what to do then is we've answered our questions more or less. Do we like them? Yes. Would we pay 65? Yes. How old we think we are? We've just shared. And what's the flavour profile or style? We've already covered at length as well. So let's just pull up what the selection is. I hope that you guys can read this wherever you are, but I'll read them out to you as well. We've got a Speyside 29-year-old from a refill sherry butt. We've got an Inchgour 27-year-old from a refill bourbon hogshead, as is the Ardmore 26 and the Ardmore 25, the same cask. Chininic, we've got a 17-year-old Oloroso hogshead, but it's had a finish of 5 years in that cask. Presumably Chininic would have been in refill bourbon before that. 17 years old, so 12 years in bourbon. Altmore is a 16-year-old from a red wine barrique, full maturation. I would imagine we've got a real tell on the colour on that one, but you never know. Kalila is a 14-year-old in a refill hoggy as well. Brookladdy is a Rins, which is a peated Brookladdy, the trade name for peated Brookladdy, which is first fill bourbon cask. Orkney, we've got a 13-year-old, sorry, the Rins is a 13-year-old as well. Orkney's a 13-year-old, so it's obviously going to be a Highland Park. Cognac cask, finished for 3 years. Bunnahabhain is the Stoischer, which is Stefan's just mentioned there that he doesn't think he has. 11 years from a refill hoggy. Then we've got a Kleinlich 9-year-old from a refill hoggy. We've got an Ardnamurchan 7-year-old, good age for an Ardna, a refill Oloroso octave. Glenwivis, we've got a 6-year-old with an Oloroso octave. Dornoch is their 5-year-old from a refill octave. Nicknain is a 5-year-old from first fill bourbon. Lochlee is a 4-year-old refill bourbon cask. All of these together make up 1,329, bottles, 1,329. And you can see there the different percentages, chance of you having each individual one. If Ian's right, he's currently given himself odds of a 1 in 10, more or less. I'm not going to do odds, actually, because my brain doesn't work that fast, but it means 11.6%. Somebody's echoing right now, so I'll speak to your mics. I'll say hello at the same time. Hello.
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 I'll shut that. I'll shut your noise cancelling up or switch it back on again. Good. Okay, so then I'm thinking, I don't know where to go now. I'm actually drawn somewhere, but I don't know if I'm quite ready to connect, but it's right in the middle of the board. It's suggesting it's a wee bit older than I first suspected. Let's come back to that. Roddy actually thinks he's in the Lochlee refill bourbon cask camp, so he's at a 13% chance there, 12.9, very close. And Stefan, you were thinking that you're in the neighbourhood of where?
Yeah, the Adnamurken Glenribes Dornock. Looking at also at the casks, the octave thing, because there's quite a lot of wood, but it doesn't feel like an old enough whiskey. And the older ones are are all refills. So there's a missing. So therefore, I'm complete. I just say it's Adnamurken. So that's my current guess, and then I probably lose my share in an Adnamurken cask that I currently have. This will be taken away after this.
So we've got some real commitment here. We've got Stefan settling on Ardnamurken 7-year-old. We've got Ian still on that express train to Nicknean, and Roddy thinking and hoping that he's got his Lochlee 4-year-old. I'm going to completely change everything right now, and I'm going to just look at the color. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So I'm probably being foolish here. But there is a 16-year-old Altmore there that has had full maturation in a red wine barrique.
It's not pink.
There's just no way it can be. There's no way it can be. But it's odd enough to be. The only other thing that's giving me any odd vibes there is the Orkney 13-year-old in a cognac cask. I would be expecting to get a puff of peat smoke on it, and I'm not getting it tonight at all, but that's very normal for me. It's very typical. Okay, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to think this must be the Orkney. So there we go. I'm committed as well. I am inspired by your confidence, Ian. I'm inspired by your commitment, Stefan, and I'm inspired by your wishfulness, Roddy. You really want that Lochlee. Listen, can we all agree now before the reveal? If any of us have the 4-year-old Lochlee, we swap it with Roddy. Are we up for that?
I'm really enjoying this. It'll be, we'll see.
Okay, so one
Just
at a
enough
time.
to make some cocktails, eh?
Shall I go first?
Yeah.
I'll go first. Okay. I've committed to the Orkney 13-year-old from a cognac cask, which is stupid because there's a 3.2% chance, I think, was the odds on that one. Here goes. Oh.
14-year-old Clear?
What? There. Peat Blight. An absolute. And I went back to that multiple times. Did anyone see me pouring and transferring the glass so that I could maybe pick up some peat on the empty glass? That's insane. That's insane.
I would have changed my mind.
My goodness.
What would you change
I was
to?
even looking for just a little bit of peat to help me commit to the Orkney. 14-year-old Kalila. And what was the cask for the Kalila? Let's go.
Refill Hoggy.
A refill Hoggy. Right. Okay. So you guys can be confident from here on in that there's nothing that you can do that's going to be any worse than 14-year-old highly. I mean, what is Kalila like? 35 ppm malt. Oh my!
Maybe,
goodness.
Roy, I give you. It might be they do unpeated batches of Kalila.
Oh, thank you, big guy. Thank you. Just kind of coming right in there. Once a
You're
year.
buying stock.
once
You're
a
buying
blue
can.
moon.
It'll say Kalila. It won't say unpeated on it.
They would, the Thompson Brothers would not put out an unpeated Kalila without mentioning, by the way, there's a good chance this is unpeated. But that's just where I am. I'm going to make pity dram incoming from Jimmy Legg. Thank you, buddy. I'll take a pity dram. Thank you. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I need to lay off the peat. Right, Roddy. Time for you. Let's get the camera focusing on this for the reveal. Let's get it on you squarely. Let's go.
Okay, here we go. No!
Oh! 5-year-old Dornoch. So you were within the age by a year, but you were looking for a bit more muscularity, maybe a bit more fermentation flavor forward, that kind of Dornoch profile. By the way, that's a Dornoch is a peach to get a hold of. Let's look at the odds that we've got here, Roddy, for our Kalila here. Kalila is 9.1%, quite a lot of the Kalila, around 121 bottles, but Dornoch, only 73 bottles of that, around 5.5% of that one. Terrific stuff. Terrific. How are you feeling about that, Roddy?
I'm going to have to go and make a Rob Roy with it. It tastes like it's going to make a good Rob Roy, you know?
Yeah.
Also, as well as the coughing fit that I muted myself for, I went and rummaged and I found the Murky Bomb glass.
So you actually had a glass made for Murky Bombs?
Well, you know, lockdown was a weird time, so my colleague John made everybody shot glasses from minis.
Who did this?
John, my colleague John.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
So obviously, you know, it's only fitting that if you're doing Murky Bombs, it should be an Ardnamurchan mini, you know. So.
Yeah. So Roddy, remind me, you and John are doing a YouTube thing now, right?
John's the person who actually does all the technical stuff. He's not so far volunteered to appear in front of the camera. So far, this is for the shop. It's myself and Matthew and Sarah so far. But as we get a bit more competent at it and organised, then that'll open out to other members of staff and distillers and brewers and whatever.
So if I was to do a search for, what's the channel name? The Good Spirits Co?
The Good Spirits Co Glasgow.
I've got it. So I'm now going to copy that. You've got 16 subscribers. So this is new. This is brand new, this stuff.
We'll go up by a few hundreds today now, I hope.
For all the Roddy fans out here. And I'll link this. Whiskey with Molly. Ben has found it as well. Thanks, Ben. For people that are not joining us live, for you who's picking it up the replay, I'll stick this under the description as well, so you can go along and get your Roddy fix at the Good Spirits Co as well. Superb. I'll need to go and have a wee look at what you're chatting about on there. I still have fond memories of the Whiskey Woman channel as well. So there we go. We've got a Dornoch, which is quite a find, and we've got me on a Kalila 14. Absolutely brilliant. You can't buy this. All right. Well, you can buy it, or you could have bought it if you were about in Monday. Anyway, Stefan,
at least I got the age.
It's down to you. Let's see what you've got. I'll put you on full screen, and you can hold it up to the camera and reveal what you're all over the place.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, now here's the thing. Here's the thing. I didn't want to say anything, by the color of your glass and the way that you were kind of all over the place, I was thinking there's a good chance he's got that Altmore, especially when I saw how many bottles there were of it. that's the most likely bottle for you to have picked up. Red wine cask, full maturation in a red wine barrique, right? So,
but it's, I have to say, well, I might have had also other good wine casks once in a while, but they tend to be overly winey. And particularly if you see the 16 years in a wine cask, I expected something that was just. On the other hand, the the Thompson Brothers wouldn't bottle that if it were completely, red, thick Rioja juice.
if it was tannic, if it was overly tannic, if it was overly red and tart and thick, if it was overly sulfuric or anything, I don't think it would make it in, especially not being the bottle. I think the bottle with the highest odds of getting, I think Altmore, 279 bottles, 21% chance, a 1 in 5 chance of getting that Altmore. But I do think, as far as I'm aware, maybe I've made a mistake, but you're the first person, maybe the second actually, I've seen with an Altmore 16. Okay, now it's down to our man on the train, on the express train to Nicknean, to see if he's absolutely nailed it. I suspect you're in for a good chance of doing so. Okay, big guy, go right ahead. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Listen, nobody was right. All of us were all over the place. I was by far the most over the place. But anyone that's in the chat right now that think that they can rock up and burst open a bottle blind and do it genuinely and legitimately and think that they can just nail it each time, I want to know who you are. You're welcome on here. We can play this game as many times as you like. I suspect that there will be people throwing fun at us right now, having a laugh with us, especially me. I hope it's especially me right now. But know this, if we don't do this, how can we expect you to be playing these kind of games at home? I should be picking out Pete on this. If I was to ask my kids to walk in and I've put this under their nose and say, is this smoky? They would put their nose in and say, oh my goodness, Dad, yeah, absolutely, it's smoky. But for me, depending on the night, the time of day, what I've been eating, all of that stuff, and how much peaty drams is the biggest problem I have. My brain is very, very good at dialing out peat. Show us that, Stefan. You were showing us the colour there of that bottle, that whiskey.
Yeah,
it's dark, but there's no red. There's no kind of pinky magenta highlights or anything like that to give away a red wine cask. Okay, I don't think we've had enough of this. Blair Stevenson is saying Aquaviti, can he get it right even when you're given a list of answers? Shocking. Who's up for the next blind challenge, do you think, boys? I think Mr. Stevenson's coming in for the next one. Jimmy Legg is saying, could you not have gotten people on who know something about whiskey, Aquaviti? Oh, here it's coming. Whiskey and Wine Trails Thomas saying, I feel so much better about my palate now, Aquaviti. Whiskey Weekend Rad saying, send me one Aquaviti. Saying. So there we go. Graham Young's bought me a dram. Just thinking a wee COVID test is in order. Kalila is the bomb, usually. Cheers to this wonderful fun. Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much. Thank you for the dram, at least. I have to say, I'm a wee bit shocked at myself. So I'll bring this along maybe to the club or the next time I'm seeing you guys as well, and just so we can all have a sip and work out how much peat is on it. But what I might actually do is just find a way to slip it into a future blind challenge and say, you remember that, Kalila? Okay, so that was good fun. I think it was all good fun, right?
I have never been so gutted to find out I've got a clean leash.
Clean leash.
Like, literally in my life. That was one of the ones I was hoping for. It was in my top 3. That was the one I was wanting. I'm like,
but you would have given up a whiskey that you wanted in order to get one that you wanted less, just to be right on the night, right? Absolutely. I agree with Malt. That's James in Sweden. He's a chef, so he's saying count me in. Ginger Genius Jonathan Aquaviti, brilliant. Enough said. I've got to go to Campbelltown next week and hold my head high. I'm going to have fun with everyone. I'm going to have a bag full of samples. 50% of them will be smoky and 50% of them will be not so smoky. And I'm going to hand them out to anybody who comes up to me going, yeah. Anyway, Daniel Key is saying, leave me a bottle for Campbelltown. I'll do it after 3 tastings. Max Kreitner is saying you'll be renamed Roy Charles. Michael Wood is saying, Roy, even the monkey might do better than you guys. Oh, listen, it's not you guys. I think the other three in tonight did a wee bit better than I did. Jimmy Legg is saying my spreadsheet would have told me what each whiskey was. Of course it would have, Jimmy. Right, let's keep it going. Let's imagine then that you guys at home don't have access to these outturns. You don't have access to the Thompson Brothers Mystery Malt. You're not in the UK. And even if you're further afield, you might not have access to the Series 2 that comes out and allocates some for export. What I've done is I picked out, now my patrons know what bottles we're about to taste tonight. My patrons, I shared with them what the bottles were I was going to pour to everyone, is that I poured 6 bottles. I'm going to make an absolute mess of this as well tonight as well. Not only will there be no vPub next week, but there might never be a vPub again because I'll have lost all the trust in my community. Okay, I poured samples of 6 bottles, and then I just kind of randomly allocated them to Roddy, to Stefan and Ian. None of them have the exact same 3 whiskies. But because there's only a choice of 6, there will be an overlap between them all. The reason for that, if there's 4 of us on and we've got 3 whiskies each, that's a dozen whiskies. We're going to be here all night, okay? So we'll be spending enough time with these as is. I'm going to randomly, I know what these whiskies are, of course I do, but at the time of picking, the guys on screen with me right now will get to know what they are as well. So they'll at least have a little bit of light shone on things. The difference and advantage that I have is not only do I know what's being picked, I've also tasted all of the whiskies here. So I should have an advantage. There's a chance for me to, it's almost like a retake of a penalty that I've just skied into the top row, right? I'm getting a chance to retake it now. So I'm going to take 3 random whiskies out of this. You won't believe me there. I'm going to mix it up. And I encourage all of you to do this. You'll see that there's no markers on these sample bottles, but inside the cap for each one, I've put a coloured dot. So when I open this, I'll be able to see what colour it is. So I'm going to open them and I'm going to put the caps over there out of sight. I'm going to need to, I can't do that. I can't do that because I need to keep track of what's in the glass. You just need to trust me. It's fine. After that, Khalil, if nobody's trusting
me. It sounded so complicated when you explained it earlier today. And I thought, well, okay, Roy knows what he's doing, so it's fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah. I know how we're going to try and do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the exact same thing we did with the Thompson Brothers, but we're doing our home version. We're just going to the whiskey that's on hand. I spoke to Roddy about this when I dropped off the samples. The levels on your shelves tell you how much you're enjoying a bottle of whiskey. A low-level bottle is probably something you're enjoying. A high-level bottle, one that you've probably not opened in a while, you might think you're enjoying it, or you might but the chances are, if you're not reaching for it, it's not one of your favorites. Reach for these things. Pour them into sample bottles, shuffle them around, and pick out random ones. And then of the bottles you know that you've sampled, you have to try and guess which one you're having. I think it's just good fun to do. Put yourself in that position. You can have somebody on hand to do it for you, maybe. Maybe you're just going to do what I've done and do it yourself. I didn't have anybody else help set this one up for me, obviously. But you just have a wee bit of fun and having your own one element of the mystery malt concept, at least. So here we go. I'm going to open this one and I'm just going to place that down like this. And I just need to keep the bottle lined up, a bit like we were talking about earlier, Roddy. I'm not going to show anybody I'm not going to show myself what that is. And I'll keep it lined up and I'll try and play the same guessing game that all of you guys are playing. Now, I know the only thing I know is I've got one of each sample here, so that I'm not going to be sipping 2 duplicates. They're all in the glass. Have you guys already poured yours?
Yes.
Good. Oh, yeah, good man. Here's Ian, another opportunity to show off his 2 sniper coins. Terrific stuff.
I will be handing them. I'll bring them down to Campbelltown. I'll hand them back to you when I see you.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Those are valuable things. Right. The way we're going to do this is we are going to go through the exact same questions that we did for the Thompson Brothers bottles. going to have a nose and a taste, and we're going to decide if we like them or not. And we're going to, I'm going to reveal to you what the whiskies are. You're going to have a chance to guess what they are. I'll tell you what the prices were, all of that kind of thing, and we can decide whether we think these are good value whiskies or not. Let's start off with a colour. I know what you guys are having. Stefan and Ian, you both have a red. Give us your first appraisal of the red. For all the patrons that know what we are pouring right now, I think maybe over on Patreon, should I go and tell people what the colours are right now? No, I'm not going to do that. It might have been a good idea to do that, but it's better that we do it blind, and then there's no suspicion of shenanigans going on. Why don't you discuss your red? I don't know if I have a red. I'm going to go through these and see if maybe I've got the red.
Well, should I, Ian? I have a pretty good idea what it could be, but it's peat, but it's very floral peat. But it's also an enjoyable version of whatever that is.
You're being very, very careful with your words, Stefan.
The red one, yeah, red. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's because the first question is whether we think it is reasonable. It's a good whiskey, and is it worth 65-ish? Do you think that's a fair price for that?
It's got a nice ashy peat to it as well, with a wee bit of the kind of florally thing. And the only thing I'm kind of struggling with at the moment, if it's an Isla or a mainland, and then obviously if it's mainland, that's a huge area. If it's an Isla or non-Isla peat.
For me, everything points to just one distillery, but I don't know. Might be completely wrong.
Go for it.
That one. But so should we
Which
guess
one?
already?
Well,
Beaumont.
you get it.
It's a Beaumont. I think, but
You
maybe.
both, can we agree that it's interesting that you're both there, because out of all the various regions and styles and distillery characters that we talk about, I think we can all agree that Beaumont stands out. If we get a classic style of Beaumont, it really announces itself. So that's what you're getting in the glass, right?
But it could also be, because I had this before, I said loudly Beaumont, and then turned out to be a peated Kilkerran, or not even just a normally peated 12-year-old Kilkerran. And so it could be a non-Isla, more, peated whiskey, as Ian said. But I just go for Beaumont now, after not identifying the wine cask. It doesn't matter anymore.
I have to say, just on nosing alone, oh wow.
It's lovely on the nose. It's definitely older than what I've been drinking. So I was drinking 9, not 5 or 4. I think it's a way higher ABV. It's in the cask strength thing, so 50s plus. Much fuller, much rounder on the palate, and yeah.
I'm gonna
I'm
go.
not quite willing to commit to Beaumont, but I do get where Stefan's coming from, because there's a really nice floral aspect to the peat.
I think, based on your tasting notes, based on my own belief I think that one of mine, I think I've opened a red along with you. Okay, I'm gonna just make sure that it stays in my right hand, on the right hand side of the flight. That's where it is just now. I think I've opened it. I think it's very, very distinctive. I absolutely adore this whiskey that's in the glass. It's one of my favourites, and the way that you describe this whiskey absolutely fits perfectly. So that's a red. Let's move on to Roddy and Ian, you're both sharing a pink. Now, yes. So right on the back of that discussion for the red, Ian, I'll let Roddy take the floor with this one in case he's had a chance to go into
it. So this one's really flowery. it's a nice light dram. I'm fairly sure there's no peat in it at all, and it tastes like it's bourbon barrels, but it's really interesting because is it even Scotch? It's so light and flowery.
Let me put you all out of your misery on is it even Scotch thing, because you've done a blind with me before, and you know that I can throw a wee banana skin in there from time to time. Listen, what I've tried to do tonight is I've tried to. They are all Scotch whiskies. They may not all be single malt Scotch whiskies.
This is a great.
But there is no other grain on the table than malt. Okay, everything on the table is malt.
I don't know what you're getting, Ian, but I find this is like packed full of, it's like, really fruit juice, flowery fruit, passion fruit. Oh, wait a minute. Is this Benwivis?
Glenwivis.
Glenwivis, yes, Glenwivis.
So what age are you getting then? You suggested it's quite young.
Is this the first release of Glenwivis, the 2018?
So you're talking about that tropical fruit bomb that I shared with Julie and everyone, and she went nuts for. And then I struggled to find another Glenwivis that had the same tropicality to it.
That blue, the one with the blue label, yeah?
Yeah, well, they do it by vintage, yes. That's right. So the blue label is I think it was a 2018 going from memory, don't. So there we go.
I'm gonna have more water. There's still peat kicking about in my molars or something. So
oh, I wish. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of you. So if I that's the thing, is that you're telling me you and Stefan both get peat from this red. The one I think that's red. I'm getting no peat whatsoever.
Really?
Absolutely nothing. No smoke at all. So it's obviously just one of those nights for me that I'm kind of just struggling, and I don't know.
I'm terrified now.
Yeah, I'm getting everything else.
So I'm just, I don't know if this is cheating or not, Roy, but I've got the chat on the other screen, and people are suggesting this could be Loch Lomond.
That's not cheating. It's not. It's the rules of the vPub. Everybody can kind of play along and do what they're doing and see how they got on with it.
Which for sure, that's a good shout, I think.
And you gave a good hint, your comment earlier about the malt. I thought, what was this about? And I thought, oh, there could be something that is malt, but maybe not made from malt, but not a malt. But I don't have that whiskey.
So what you're talking about is Loch Lomond have their copper column still in the malt room, and they make single grain from 100% malted barley, right?
There was that single blend that they released last year, this year. That was lovely, but I'm not getting the popcorn anymore.
I never tasted that one.
Oh, so good.
This is really nice. It's not floral anymore. Like, it was quite floral to start with, but it's gone to that kind of really tropical fruit now. Mm-hmm. Which is why I was thinking the Glenwivis thing.
Right. So I got an age statement on the red one. Ian said it was much older than his 9-year-old Klein Leash, so certainly into the teenage years, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't go into the 20s. I won't go into the 20s.
Okay. Stefan, would you agree with that on the red, more or less?
No, not necessarily. Well, Ian's smiling, but it could well be a 10 or 12 or something. Not young, but let's say it's a more introduced malt, I guess, and with around the 10 or so. Perfect.
Okay, so an age on the pink one then is that we're onto the pink one. That's everyone's kind of leaning towards it being potentially something fruity and floral. Not enough popcorn for it to be the single blend from Ian. But what age are we going to put on it then?
I think this would have been released as a maybe a no age statement whiskey, but I like it tastes like a 5 or 6 or 7-year-old to me. I'm getting a wee bit of that kind of that sort of jagginess on the tongue.
7 to 9. I'll go slightly higher than Rodney, just for the mouthfeel. It's a bit thicker. A wee bit more coaty.
Is it the type of whiskey you would pay 65 quid for?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, that means you like it. You both like it. That's good.
Yes.
Hopefully, you know that I wouldn't pour you rubbish. I'm not trying to throw in banana skins here. I would imagine that if people are going to play this game at home, they're going to be picking things that they actually want to play the game with, right? That they feel that they are quite nice. Okay, good. So we've got a guess on the pink one for Loch Lomond. Maybe the chance that it's something that's gone through their column still, right? I like it. I love the playfulness. I like the fact you're going along with it. Stefan, you're on your own, please, for the yellow one. Yellow.
Ui, naja. It's quite a acidic, cidery, a cider, almost vinegar, sour fruit note to that one. Something that suggests, in my view, also looking at the color, some sort of bourbon cask, full-on bourbon cask, quite lively. And I haven't tried it. I tried it earlier, but I have to try it again. I remember when I opened this one first, this was the one where I thought, ooh, lactic. And immediately I had this fear of Bruichladdich and Bladnoch and so something.
This is an interesting thing. You and I have discussed lactic before. There's a few distilleries that we agree are a bit lactic. Bruichladdich, Bladnoch, we both agree. Depending on the expression, depending on the vintage, the style. Also, Daphmil can be lactic from time to time as well.
Maybe a more controversial view.
Sorry?
Maybe a more controversial view because it's generally, and it's great whiskey. That's not, but it still has this element that you might enjoy or not, and it's recognizable. And I think it's throughout the bottlings you can always taste it. Yeah.
Well, I think the interesting thing is that for a lot of people, lactic can be a negative thing if they're sensitive to it and they don't like it, and a lot of other people, they can find it as a kind of creamy thing, something that they actually really quite enjoy. It's like everything in whiskey; it's just so subjective. I don't find any lactic notes in any of the glasses that are in front of me right now, but I have to go further than that and say that I haven't. Nobody's going to believe any of my tasting notes tonight, actually, after that Kalila thing. But I don't find lactic notes in any of the whiskies that I've poured. So that in itself is interesting to me. I'm now going through the glasses in front of me to try and fathom out some lactic notes. But no, I've only got 3 out of the 6 here, so I'm not getting any. Unfortunately, there's no corroboration that I'm aware of. The only corroboration that can be is in my glasses here, obviously. But none of the other guys, just the way that it came out, managed to get a yellow. So is there any, would you have a guess on age of that one?
I would also, assuming that we're all around this 65-pound mark, so it can be realistically not 25 and something like this. But I get a distinct Campbelltown note now that the lactic disappeared completely. A bit of peat maybe, but maybe not so much. I'm not entirely sure. But I just think you can get 65-pound bottles if you can get them from Campbelltown. And then, but it's I wouldn't say it's a Springbank 10 or something like this, but who knows? They're different all the time.
Yeah,
Hazelburn or some Kilkerran. I know it's a pretty wide, but somehow it reminds me of next week. Or the weeks.
Okay, the Campbelltown Malt Festival. It's making, maybe that's just wishful thinking in you that's taking you down the peninsula there, no problem. So that's really cool. That's cool. There's enough in the glass that's drawn you to a region. Let's go for age and ABV roughly.
Well, then I would, based on my guesses and all this, I would say it's 10 and it's 46%. Or it's 10, 12, one of those.
10 or 12 years old, 40s, high 40s, you're saying that?
40s, yeah. I wouldn't say it's cask strength. Wouldn't go that high.
Okay.
Or, I mean, it could be natural cask strength at 40 something, but don't think it's in the mid 50s or higher.
Final question: is it worth 65 quid or more?
This
Good
one is
whiskey.
maybe more so than the red. Maybe.
Good. We're getting through this quite well. We're more than halfway through now. The blue, there's only Roddy has a sample of the blue. Because of what I know of the blue, Roddy, I have a gut, and there's part of me that thinks I've got a blue in front of me. But that would just have been a lucky pick if I have. And I'm not going to say anything about the tasting notes, because if I lead you, it's going to lead you into a dimly lit alley. I'm just going to let you do your thing.
So this one's not flowery or spicy. It's super malty. Really tastes of barley, but there's also, I feel as if I'm getting a bit of like this kind of richness that you get when the whiskey's seen some sherry casks as well. Like, it's not overtly sherried, but there's a bit more weight than I would see from just bourbon barrels. I'm not getting any smoke. There's a wee savoury note to it. It's pretty full bodied. It's quite a chewy whiskey.
I feel like just by your description, not only do I think I've got the same whiskey in front of me, I think that even if I didn't have it and you were describing it, I think I would know which one you've just described. Mm-hmm. That's how cool it is. I have to say, this is the people tuning in right now. If they look at it the right way, they're going to have their socks blown off, and we're only halfway through. Okay, let's thank you. You suggest there's a bit of sherry cask in here, a wee bit of a savoury note in here, quite a full-bodied, chewy whiskey, fantastic. ABV, what are we thinking?
It's not cask strength, but it's not 40 either. I think 46.
Okay. Would you pay 65 quid for it?
Yeah, I suspect this is maybe a little bit pricier than that these days.
Okay.
Seems like a 75, 80 pound whiskey to me.
And where are you drawn on the map? Is there anywhere you would go with this, or is it just a wee bit too generic, maybe? What are you thinking?
So it is making me think of things like Mortlach or Benrinnes, you know?
Nice. So that's the weight, that's the body. That's
the
head, is it?
And I'm like, now, as soon as they popped into my head, I'm struggling to think of other full-bodied malty whiskies that do nicely in sherry.
Excellent. Love it. Okay, I want everybody to just kind of once we reveal what these things are, go back and watch this again, please. All right, we've got two of you that can participate in the green one. I'm very, very confident. The green one is new to me this week. It's not been featured in the vPub in the past. It's brand new to me this week, but it was very, very distinctive to me. I would hope it's going to be one of the glasses. Bloody hell, it's going to be in front of me. Of course it is. But I'll just continue. And I knew as soon as I tasted it that it had to be in the lineup for tonight. So the two of you drinking green is Roddy and Ian. Am I right?
Yes.
Right. Brilliant. Take it away, Ian.
The first thing is not green spot, because that's a green spot, but it's not.
Subliminal thing, yes, I get it. Everything is Scotch. Everything is Scotch.
But everything is games. I don't believe you.
Yeah.
Savoury honey, rich, thick. It's a wee bit nippier. The ABV is a bit higher, maybe 50 plus. I think if I'm right and my palate's feeling it, the peat in the first one has kind of knocked off where I'm a wee bit. but I would like to spend a lot of time with this whiskey. Just initially on the nose, it's really rich. I think you could spend a lot of time with it, and add a little bit of water here and there, and break it down.
Complexity.
There's I don't know if it's a marmalade note. There's a kind of baked fruit. I think it's marmalade.
I was going to say baked apples, Ian.
I wish there was a way for me to share. I'm going to need to, in fact, I'm going to try and do it now. I'm going to try and make Google Slides so that people can see what you're drinking right now and drop a link in the chat so that other people can look at it. Just keep speaking in, and I'll do the best.
I'd love it. The finish is lovely. The finish is really nice. And a thing that I think you guys have talked about already tonight, that I've come to more and more over time, is that loving of mouthfeel in a whiskey, because occasionally you buy a whiskey. I've now bought whiskey. The most recent one was the Ardnamurchan bottled by the Good Spirits Company, which I bought almost entirely on the first sip based on the mouthfeel, because it was spectacular, and I thought everything else that's going to come after this is amazing. This has a lovely mouthfeel to it, kind of coating, warming, but not craggy thing.
You're loving this whiskey, right?
I'd call
really
it
good,
oily.
really good. Sorry?
I'd call it oily, Ian. You know, the viscous, nice thick dram.
It doesn't have the spice to justify this comment, but considering I had it on noodles just the other day, it has that. This is probably just because I had it on noodles the other day. It reminds me a little bit of chili crisp, like the oil comes in, coats your mouth, and there's a warming to it. It's not spicy. It's not that's the wrong thing, but it has. I can remember the sensation of eating the noodles with the oil on it, and it was that thick, kind of comforting thing. So the flavour is wrong, but the sensation, I think, would be right for me.
That's interesting.
But
there's definitely apples in there. Like there's definitely cooked, baked apples. Sweetness, texture, thickness.
Thickness is I'm kind of stuck on the thickness of it.
Roy's already said it's definitely Scotch, but after that I'm kind of stumped.
There's a wee farmyardy kind of thing on the note on the finish. Just as it's leaving, there's a wee thickness, Do you
know what this has actually just reminded me of? Like, do you remember the ridiculous purple livery Penrith 12-year-old Cherrywood?
No.
Like from 10 years ago.
I do, Roddy. I remember the one you're talking about. A decade ago, 8 or 9 years ago.
Yeah, something like that. If they'd done that whiskey, but somehow made it like refill sherry cask, so it was less sherried, but still had the viscousness and the sweetness. I mean, does that mean it's been Riach? I don't know.
Okay.
We still get people asking for that whiskey in the shop.
That Ben Riach.
Yes.
One of the classics, one of the legends. So what I'm going to ask you then, I can tell by the way you both speak about it, you would easily pay 65 quid for this. Yeah. If I told you it was double that, if it was 265 quids, if it was 130, you're on the fence then. We're in 3-figure territory, right?
It's once you kick over the £100 mark, it gets a lot harder.
Got you.
That's
my children need new shoes. That's where my budget comes onto. But
I think there's lots of distilleries that if they had this, they would be thinking, yeah, in today's market we could push into 3 figures, but
it's a hard place to shift whiskey. Let's be honest, especially in 2025.
There was those wee purple sweeties that had a crispy shell and they were purple. What were those things called? Tutti Fruttis? No. They're a kind of crispy shell, and then inside it was chewy. It was almost like a kind of
Tutti Frutti squares. There were squares.
No, there was a crispy shell version. There was some very similar taste, but it had a crispy shell over the front, and it's almost like a blackcurranty. Oh, I'm gonna lose it. Oh, which
This whiskey is a recommendation from, or it's something that was brought to my attention. It was not recommended, but brought to my attention by a guy who's in the chat tonight, a guy from the club, Daniel Key. He spotted this. I remember I'd seen it before, but I didn't pick it up. I picked it up this time. Let's park it at that. I think you've done enough. Is there ABV? What do you think on ABV?
North of 50.
North of
Well,
50.
but not much north. I'm happy to say 50. You know, it's not cask strength, I don't think.
Okay, good. Good. What age?
You know, it's mature whiskey, but you know, that could be anything from 10 to 15, I would say. Ian?
With the oiliness of it and stuff, I can't work out if that's from the stills or from the can.
I think that's the distillate, surely. That's got to be the distillate.
Yeah. You said nothing higher than 15?
I don't think so.
Just to be annoying, I'm going to say between 14 and 17.
Superb. Good stuff.
Yeah,
love it. So,
why is this guy even still in the
one
club?
that the boys have just been discussing, for anybody that's got access to the photo, it's the one on the extreme right. Okay. Finally, we've got one that it's only Stefan that has the orange. I think you're out on your own because I've been raking through my 3 drams, doing the absolute best. Just to give everyone an update, the one on the right-hand side, I was fairly confident I was sipping alongside the red one of Stefan and Ian. I can't get any peat on it at all. However, there is hope for me because this one on the left is actually, I think, the red one, and there is peat. I'm getting peat.
So you're going back. So you think the red one has peat?
I'm now changing my mind. And when I set these backwards and forwards, what this one that I thought was red is now bringing out peat, and the one I'm going to change my mind to being red. It's just by contrasting backwards and forwards. Now, if I go back to that Kalila, let's see.
Yeah.
It's like it's been lit on fire. It's just absolutely potently smoky. That's insanity. You would think I would. Anyway, so I'm sticking with it that this one on the right, I still have no idea what the one on the right is. I need to think a bit longer. The one on the left, I'm going to suggest is the red, which leaves me stuck now with the one in the middle and the one on the right. We continue. Stefan, I don't think I've got your orange in front of me. I'm fairly confident of that. Take it away yourself. You're on your own.
I was a bit split. I first thought there's nothing in it. This is nothing. There's absolutely
nothing. Okay,
nothing.
Good.
But then it changed because it took time, and it's really pale. Maybe see this?
Yep.
Here? Super pale, but it's quite mineral and it's waxy. Suggests the usual suspect, but I don't think so. But who knows? But I think it has age, and it has a lot of complexity, and it's not so much in your face as the others were. The others were like, bah, here I am. This one's like, oh, I'm hiding at the back. Maybe come later. But that's really good. I really like that. I would think first I thought it's one of those 40% something, but they still charge 65 for whatever supermarket story behind it is and whatever. But then I thought, well, would Roy give us, or maybe he does just want to see the mix of whatever's available for that in that price bracket. But I think this is really good, and I think it's a bit older. I have no idea what it is because it's, I think, a very gentle cask that worked over many. Who knows? Maybe it's not even that. In my view, it's something, yeah, that is a refill hogshead that is 15 plus, let's say.
Okay, good. 15 plus. My poker face is doing its very best job tonight.
Because it's the Necknian. This is the for you Necknian that Ian wanted. Yeah.
Okay, so you're getting a bit of waxy minerally. So do you want it? Does that take you in a certain direction? Does that take you to a certain distillery, a certain region, a certain style, a certain You've said refill hogshead. The colour backs that up. 15, 17 years, 15 plus.
Are these official bottlings? Is this? I mean, or is it important? It would be important if it were, so you could easily.
Yeah, sure. No, I think you need to not think about official ranges. I think you need to just think about distillate and character and cask type and ABV and age and all of that. Focus on that.
Why don't say Clynelish then? I'll
Okay.
say Clynelish.
Clynelish.
Yeah.
And plus 15-year-old Clynelish.
Maybe then it's the official 14. Who knows?
Okay. So now the only thing left, then, you guys have all fairly much committed. I think this one on the left is red. And when I finally see the list up on the screen, I'm going to commit to these two. Even though I know what I've poured and I've shared them out, I'm still going to need to go through and just kind of process elimination and try. I'm a wee bit, I am 50-50. I think I'm getting there on the middle one. In fact, I feel fairly confident that this is the one that Roddy and I was sharing as he was giving the notes out earlier, but I need to have a wee think. I'm going to have another wee check of the list. And then the one on the right-hand side, that I think there's only one other one it can be. But like I say, I'll hold my water for a minute. I'm going to share with you what you've been sipping, okay?
Yeah.
Up it pops on screen now. First, you'll see an image. I'll take you through it from left to right. I'm going to do a wee solo to screen right now first before I go ahead. I need everyone to know that everyone that I invite onto the vPub are invited at my... It's all to do with nobody's got any other agenda. I don't have any agenda. We're not ever selling anything. We're just sharing whiskey with you. When you see something that has just happened tonight, it's difficult for me to keep my excitement together. This is legitimate. This is above board. Sometimes we sit around whiskey and we take it, we relax with it, and we tell people there's no pressure and stuff. Nobody knows it all of the time. I think these three guys have just demonstrated something to us live that has never happened in the vPub before. I'm almost at the point of swearing. It is that astonishing. They're here and they do not know what they are sipping. They do not know. This is amazing. Let's watch the reaction. Okay, that's quite a build-up.
All Oldmore 16 in a wine cask, all of them.
On the left, we have a Loch Lomond produced in a copper pot still from 100% malted barley. Right next to that, we have a 17-year-old Clynelish from a refill barrel. Right next to that, we have Bamore, the Vaults Edition Atlantic Sea Salt. Right next to that, we have a Campbelltown Springbank local barley, 13-year-old from 2024. Right next to that, we have a Deanston, but it's an oddball Deanston. It's a slightly higher ABV, distillery exclusive from a Palo Cortado cask. 12 years old, 55.4%. And on the right-hand side, we have a Whiskey Exchange special release, blended malt at 37 years old. Okay. Now, please, boys, do not wobble at this moment. Stick with your convictions, please. You have these things in front of you, the Bowmore Vaults Edition, Loch Lomond, Springbank, Deanston, Gastronomy, Clynelish. Let's go from the beginning. It's amazing. Stefan and Ian, you both shared the red. What do you think it is?
Bowmore Vaults.
Yep.
Fantastic. Roddy and Ian, you shared pink. What do you think that is?
The Loch Lomond.
Yes, it's the Loch Lomond, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. Single grain. So excited. I've got a bottle of that. I'm so excited about it.
Stefan, there was a chance for me that my middle one was that sharing with you. Your tasting notes helped me immensely, almost as much as Roddy's did. Stefan, what do you think your yellow was?
Well, I know by exclusion of, I hope it's a local barley, or because I said it's something in Campbelltown. Yeah, yellow, right? Yeah. Yellow.
Yes, you absolutely did. You said Campbelltown. You did think it was lower ABV, that this
Yep.
Campbelltown is actually slightly higher ABV. You can see it's 54.1% ABV. Let's have a wee look. 54.1, yeah. But I think that's quite typical of a Springbank. If it's well made and well put together, if it's a good makeup, it can often hide its ABV very, very well. So that tracks. Blue was shared between. No, the blue was a unique one that Roddy had on his own. Roddy, I'm just going to go with it. I think that you and I are sharing the blue one. I think my middle one is that too. Go ahead. What do you think it could be from that list?
I think that's got to be the Deanston Palo Cortado, which I think, was it Jimmy Legg that said it sounds like a Palo in the chat? Maybe.
Okay.
But it's so savoury.
Savoury, 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 savoury. Absolutely agree. The reason that I was leaning towards the local barley, sometimes this glass sipping it tonight tastes like it could manifest a wee bit like a Campbelltown. Don't know if you would go as far to agree with that, but you didn't pick that up and you didn't say that.
No,
That's something.
I don't see that. I don't see that.
Final, not finally, second from last, penultimate one, shared between Ian and Roddy. The green one.
It's the gastronomy, isn't it?
Would you agree with that, Roddy?
I mean, the only two left, and Kleinlich, unlikely. From what the
Your choice is between, based on your choices so far, between the Kleinlich and the gastronomy. So
I don't know, Ian. I think that could be the Clynleash.
I can't find a Clynleash when it's right in front of me. So
so you proved that earlier tonight.
I
literally cannot find it when it's there. So
I think there's a little bit of like this doesn't taste soft enough to be 37 to me.
But it's got a 51.3, which would give the spiciness to it. But the thickness of it would go Clynleash. I'm happy to be wrong. I'm going to stick with the gastronomy, but I'm happy to be wrong.
I'm going to go Clynleash. So yeah.
Okay, so that means on the final one, it was just Stefan on his own with the orange.
Yeah, I would now. I mentioned the word Kleinlich when I had it, and I said, "Oh, it's 15 plus, so that would fit this." But now seeing the other one and the two guys being unsure that their old one or the one that they had could also be, it could be just a 37-year-old. Because my point was it was relatively old. That, yeah.
Love it, love it, love it.
I'll just leave. I say that theirs is the gastronomy, but the one I had is a Kleinlich. Let's see.
Fantastic. Thank you for committing. All right. I have to do the same thing as well. I'm going to go with Loch Lomond on the right, so I'm suggesting that this one is going to be pink.
Yeah.
The one on the left then, with a wee bit of peat in it, is going to be red, and I think the one in the middle, it has to, my Chrome has gone. Can you still hear me okay and see me? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I need to refresh the chat. It's kind of gone a bit skew-with, but that's okay. I'm not stalling for time. I promise. I've lost my chat. I'm bringing it back up again. Does happen? Right. We're good.
No, I'm right.
I'm going to go. It's not. Basically, what I'm saying here is the two I'm getting confused, or I'm trying to confuse myself with, is blue and green. I'm going to go with blue, okay? So in the middle, I've got blue. So on the left, I'm saying red. On the right, I'm saying pink, and blue in the middle. Okay, we go ahead. I'm going to reveal it to you guys. The most important thing is you guys and the things that you've been sharing tonight. It's absolutely astonishing to me. This does not happen. Okay. Ian and Stefan. Bowmore, you're hoping that that's going to be red. Absolutely red. Not only did you just homed in immediately, Stefan especially, picked out immediately from the glass that was a Bowmore. That Vaults edition stands out to me as a very, very classic, typical Bowmore. It's got the mango, it's got the tropicality, it's got gentle smoke in the background, it's got a floral element to it. It's just a beautiful, elegant Bowmore. I think it's vastly underrated because we cannot buy official Bowmore that tastes anything like that these days.
That was, I think, was a bit the thing that I wasn't sure about because it was too good to be Bowmore.
Exactly.
It was Bowmore, but 65 pounds. What is there that is really an indie book? No, it can't be. And then I thought, let's go for it. But you're right. It's really difficult for that kind of
an official Bowmore
Yep.
to be. And I'll tell you, the price when this was going around was €57. I got a lot from Germany at €57. In the UK, it was 65 quid, 70 quid about that order. I picked up one last week while I was live on the vPub because I was talking about it. Maybe it was the week before, actually thinking about it now, 2 weeks ago for 80 quid. Would you pay 80 quid for this, Stefan?
Yes. No, I would. Yes, 80 sounds. Also considering how long ago it was, and just only taking inflation into account, I think it's worth. Happy to buy that.
Hats off to you both. Well done, Ian. Well done, Stefan. Fantastic, amazing. Loch Lomond, you guys are taking the piss. Absolutely nailing it. Not only just Roddy saying, is this even Scotch? Picking up the fact that despite it being from malted barley, there was something a bit weird, something a bit twisted, knowing that something was off, picking up that column still thing, the floral side of it, nailing Loch Lomond as a distillate. That's just honestly impressive. So impressive. Well done.
I might have said, Roddy, that it was great.
Yeah, no, that's all
replay.
down to Ian. Like I was convinced.
And it's also to say that it's grain is also to be a little bit kind of pedantic based on.
I know.
Right. We're still dealing with malt, but it's produced in a grain style.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely spot on.
Cracking.
Super impressive. Now, what if I told you that was 15 years old and 55 quid?
I would say that I have one bottle upstairs in the cupboard and I really wish I had to. Like I really wish I had to.
I think that it's not the one you're thinking of. This is the most recent one.
Yeah, I've got that upstairs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is Distillery Edition 8. You have got it then. Fantastic.
Yeah, but no credit.
Incredible, right?
Absolute bargain at that price. Absolute bargain at that price.
Okay, next up, Stefan was convinced that this was his yellow. Nailed it. You nailed Campbelltown. You decided it was softer. You thought it was a wee bit softer, but you picked out so many notes about it. You were getting this it drew you down to Campbelltown.
But also the fact that I didn't say that I thought maybe Hazelburn because there's not enough peat for Springbank. It just also fits in within the whole randomness of levels of peat that you sometimes get from the various. And that it's not Springbank because I had in mind the official Springbank, where there is the 10-year-old Springbank 10, where there would be quite a significant sherry element to it, and I didn't get that at all. And this is, I suppose, a bourbon cask of some kind.
It's incredible, but I don't want to stop here. I thought when we got to the halfway point and you'd done this, I thought, because remember, this is not a process of elimination. You're not looking at this and deciding what it was. You were spitballing before you knew what they were. It's amazing. Roddy couldn't get Deanston. He couldn't get to Deanston, but he picked out the weight, he picked out the body, he picked out the savoury. He knew there was something suspicious about the sherry cask going on in this. He got so close. And then when it was revealed, he absolutely nailed it. So that leaves the two that there was a wee bit of discussion on. Roddy considered that I might have thrown a banana skin in here, I think, and picked an oddball Clynelish maybe. Stefan was, when he went straight into one of his glasses, specifically the orange, Stefan, you said waxy minerally Clynelish, right? Ian and Stefan nailed it. Roddy, big guy, you don't, honestly, I'm not throwing banana skins in here. I'm not trying to pick anyone up. Unfortunately, the one that you thought could have been, because of the oiliness, I think, was sucking you in that Clynelish direction. I think that's what drew you to make it think it was a Clynelish. It was actually the Whisky Exchange's gastronomy. Can I just mention to you, this Whisky Exchange gastronomy is a 37-year-old. To me, it tastes really old school. I thought it was going to stand out a wee bit more than it did tonight. I think it's really thick. I think it's really quite complex. I think if you put a wee drop of water into it, it will hold it quite well. Still at good ABV, 51.3% ABV. It's a 37-year-old all malt whiskey. It's a blended malt. It's not a blended scotch. And it's £119.
Oh,
That's a good price.
you
Yeah.
didn't tell us about that one.
Yeah. So it didn't come out £119. I can't find what the original price was. This has been on the market for a while, but whiskey's coming back to us. Whiskey's coming back to us. I think the Whiskey Exchange has had a price drop on this. I think we can now pick up a 37-year-old malt whiskey for 119 quid. Now, it tastes like what you've got in the glass. Roddy, you've got the green. Ian, you've also got the green. Whether or not you've got 119 quid to go and buy a bottle of that, 37-year-old malt whiskey is a treat for that price. Would you agree?
I'm trying to work out if my children would notice if we sold the dog so I can get a bottle.
I
Well,
tell
if
you
the dog
what,
noticed if you sold the children.
well, it's a throwaway promise, but it's a real promise. If you remind me, I'll fill a decent sized sample bottle this time instead. Excuse me, the wee 3CLs I shared with you tonight, and I'll be happy to share it with you, buddy.
Beautiful, Jim. Really beautiful.
No need to sell pets. Jimmy Legg is saying it's not like Roddy works in the whiskey trade. He mostly drinks cider and cocktails. I think hopefully that empowers our man Roddy even more, Jimmy. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Jimmy, for your dram. Cheers to you. I'm trying to wriggle my way out to committing to whether or not I've got, because the last reveal is me again. Listen, can I ask for some support in advance? See, since I took the Kalila hit at the start, and I mean, to know this now, still no peat on that one. Let's go. Still no peat. Peat. Go back to the Kalila now. Okay. It's nothing to do with Stitchell. It's nothing to do with the annual campaign of no peat. This is an all-out peat bomb. It's amazing to me. I'll put it down to earlier in the night. I'll put it down to I'll make excuses to you guys after the stream for things I'm not going to share as we're public. But regardless, I did that. I'm going to do it again now. So I'm going to say that this one is pink, this one is red, and this one is blue. There's a good chance this is the gastronomy. Do you know that? The one in the middle. No way. No. Roddy, thank you for this. If this is right, the one in the middle is blue. If it's wrong, can I still blame you? The notes matched up so well. Okay. Pink. Pink. Okay. The relief. Now, the reason that's super relief for me is that means that this has to be, and a wee bit of peat, this has to be red. It absolutely has to be red. It's red. Good. It's fantastic. So the only one is this. Blue or green? It's blue. Beauty. I needed that. I really needed that. Especially when I'd picked the bloody whiskies. Okay, good. However, me picking semi-blind, you guys didn't do any of that tonight, right up until the last moment when you saw what the pictures were, when you saw what was on. That's when it got to semi-blind. You guys picked it all out tonight, fully blind. You put the whiskies on test, decided whether you liked them or not, whether you'd spend 65 quid on them, all of these types of things. I'll tell you what the prices are in a second. But you went in blind, and I have never seen anything like that on a vPub before. I've seen this at the Whiskey Club.
All the time, right?
Oh yeah, every week we turn up, we just rock up and we nail it right all the time. I've seen this happen and these discussions happening, but we've never managed to do that on the vPub. Now, look at the camera, straight in the eyes. You had no idea what I'd sampled you tonight. Am I right?
And it was sold to me slightly differently. I understood, yeah, there are 6 samples, but it's semi-blind, so we get to see the 6, and we have to decide which one is which. That's how I understood it.
But
and
you
then
had already called out 4 out of 6 of the whiskies.
Yeah.
You could not have known about the gastronomy. And the Deanston Palo Cortado was a real blindsider, I have to say. It was a real kind of oddball whiskey.
Yes.
Listen, none of you guys have access to my Patreon information. So when I shared that image to patrons, somebody would have need to have kind of taken a screen grab and sent it to you. But my community are not going to do that. And you guys wouldn't be interested in that either. I
also don't have any friends, so no one would have sent.
I have never had to dig so deep for a poker face as I had to tonight. That was amazing. The only thing that we can do, I have every chance of getting 10 out of 10 on the quiz tonight. Personally. Even then, after tonight in that Kalila, there's a good chance I wouldn't even get 10 out of 10 on my own quiz, right? However, you guys, if you're up for it, if you're still having a wee bit of fun, please consider staying for a wee bit longer. I'm going to keep you on screen as I try and catch up on some of the chat tonight, because I was so tempted to look into the chat. I didn't want to get distracted to see what was being said. Ian Williams is saying, what a fantastic evening. Shame we can't hang around for the quiz, but have an early start in the morning. We'll catch on replay and hopefully see some of you in Glasgow on Sunday. Ian, you're in Glasgow on Sunday. Amazing, buddy. I hope you're picking something up on the replay and the quiz. Thank you for joining us tonight. Graham Fraser is in saying, do we know what malts went into the gastronomy? As far as I'm aware, I didn't do much checking, didn't do any internet searches or whatever, but no real idea. But 119 quid for a 37-year-old malt. The specs look good. The drinking in the glass, I'm pretty impressed by as well. Jimmy Legg is saying, told you we didn't have to be there to pick out the whiskies. So Jimmy is using his spreadsheet mentality here to try and do it. It'd be interesting to see how Jimmy would have gone on. I suspect he would have done quite well too. Graham Fraser saying, I have 4 of these 6 bottlings. I must have good taste or good luck, says Graham Fraser. Good to have you in, buddy, and I hope you're rested and chilling out. Ben Whiskey with Molly saying, I called all of them from the notes, obviously knowing what they were. Also, I have had all of these apart from the gastronomy and the Klein Leash, now for a 4 out of 10 in the quiz at Cavite. Ben, I felt I was right there with you. They and their notes, fully blind, helped me pick out my whiskies when I knew what was in the potential glasses, when I knew what was still there. Can I just show everyone the other 3 just to prove? I'll open these now. These should be the rest of the colours. Okay, there's nothing in that one because it's still stuck to the thing there. That's the green one. So that's the gastronomy green. Just for the sake of completeness. Orange in this one. Listen, it's been dead easy for me to cheat with this. Really easy for me to mark the bottles in some way. Just have a flywheel look. And yellow is the final one. But we all want to gamify. We all want to feel like we're making progress. We all want to feel like we're doing something and making a difference. Daniel Key is saying 200 quid normally. So the gastronomy first came out at 200, so it's down to 119 to shift it probably. There's 80 quid off Whiskey Exchange, making it 119. It's normally 199. Thanks, Ben. Roddy Graham, Jimmy Legg, after a tough week, says Everwind. Thanks for bringing a chuckle to my day. Fantastic, Chris. Good to see you in. I'm calling the 3 of them for my team in the Glasgow Whisky Festival Blind Challenges. Gregor did it last year, so a precedent is set. Graham Fraser is saying, have you finally overcome your peat blindness, Roy? No, Graham, I have not. And I think I proved that tonight. I think it's possible when I contrast it and I readjust and recalibrate and get it back. But it's happening so often now, and it's been for a long time now, that I'm often presented with a peaty whiskey, and I either need a peaty whiskey to bring out the peat in the other one or a completely unpeated one to highlight the peat. I hope that makes sense. I know that I'm not alone in this, but it's often not admitted or talked about. I don't know why. I think it makes sense. If you have a lot of spicy food, you dial out the spice. I think it's the same with a lot of smoky food. You dial out the smoke, and you maybe want something that's even smokier or things like that. So it happens. Anthony Lambert is celebrating being a member of the Barfly for 21 months, saying, and finally joined Patreon tonight. Anthony, you superstar. I love the Barflies. I love how you get your emoji and your wee loyalty badges and things. I love how you keep the vPub absolutely ad-free. But my patrons are where everything comes from. Thank you, Anthony. I'll welcome you over there. We already knew, says Jimmy Legg, that Stefan was a genius. He's a fan of yours from the past, Stefan. Yeah, you never should have booked him on the show. So he thinks that you're OP and you shouldn't be welcome back. Chris Everwind is saying, always amazed at folks who can pick distilleries blind. The whiskey foo of these guys are strong. Thanks, Chris. Timothy H is saying, well, it's just after 9 a.m. now, so I have a wee pour of Long Road 21 in my glass to settle for the quiz. No mystery, it will be an excellent sip. Let's raise a glass to Timothy in Australia, who's just finished his plate of breakfast porridge and is now pouring a Long Road 21 to join us. Don't condone day drinking, but if you're going to do day drinking, do it after a plate of porridge with a Long Road 21, Timothy. Cheers to you, fella. Cheers.
I have to say, though, to put it in context, I really had the easiest distilleries to pick out. The most characteristic. I had Springbank, Bowmore, Clynelish. I mean, maybe there's 3 or 4 others. And then if you,
And
give
just,
me
just
Glenlossie
when he can't endear himself
Glendallan.
anymore to us, he brings up a big shovel of modesty as well.
Yes, but it's true.
Fantastic.
Glendallan, Glenlossie.
I did put serious thought into the 6 whiskies, okay? I wanted to keep them very similar colour. I wanted to keep them within a same ABV, so they were all between 50 and 55% ABV, my favourite ABV band. All of that. I wanted to pick distinct flavours, either from distillery character or from distinct cask. I hoped that the gastronomy would really bring what I tasted, that really dense, old school, almost can be subtle in one breath and then really distinctive in the next. That's what it struck me as, and that's why it got a late entry. And it kind of tipped things up a bit rather than being singles. I know that the Loch Lomond was not a single malt, but that's just the way it's described and the way it's made. But that was a blend, so there's no real distillery character in there. But of its profile and its style, I thought it was quite distinctive. So I felt that while all of you've done an amazing job tonight, I felt like I wasn't being sneaky. I was trying to give strong distillery characters and good performers that demonstrated their style. I hope that makes sense.
And all excellent whiskies. That's also something, because I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I knew the potential would be very good, but you could also just to mix it up, be realistic about what's on the market and just throw in other things. But you didn't. It was all.
No, I want to give examples of the things that we can pick together as a community. This is our power when we work together collaboratively, and it's a two-way thing. When I pick up from the community, that gastronomy tonight, for example, came from Daniel Key just in the last couple of weeks. When we work together as a community and we work out what's good, we shout about it loudly, and we were able to track down and work together to fathom out what's good. When you think about it, says Ben, it's amazing. We think 40% alcohol is undercooked. Familiarity with higher ABV numbs us. A wee bit like the smoke and the spice and the things like that. We're kind of often looking for a higher ABV. But often, Ben, and I know that Ben would agree with me on this, we sometimes get a low ABV that's naturally cask strength still, and the concentrated flavors over dilution is still a really, really attractive thing. It doesn't need to have the high ABV for us, but I understand exactly what you're saying about how potent a flavor conduit it is. Just before we move on to the quiz, I shared this on a recent vPub. It'd be nice to get your reaction while you're on here. It was a friend of mine from Australia. It was Gus that talked about this. But he's a distiller and he studies these types of things. And there's different ways to measure alcohol content in whiskey, ABV, alcohol by volume. He was talking about alcohol by weight as well, ABW. And he said that there's also a curve that you can follow, and it's not quite a bell curve, but it shows a peak of alcohol by weight for viscosity, and it peaks out at 42% ABV, ABW, which translates roughly between 50 and 55% ABV. That was a blow the barn doors off moment for me, because if I look at my cookie trail of whiskies, and in fact the whiskies that we've enjoyed tonight, the viscosity band is all between that 50 to 55, which is why I end up seeming to love that strength of whiskey. Viscosity, texture, oiliness, thickness. Roddy, please.
No, just this is a useless side note, but when I'm in the Shire and we're doing things with spirits, so sorry, Jimmy Legg, but apple-based spirits, we don't use ABV because it's far too temperature dependent. So we weigh things rather than measuring the
volume. Yep.
Yes, aye. I mean, I'm repeating what you're reporting, Roy. That what your friend says, that it's this weird thing that we started out with the very primitive measure of proof. Which the Navy needed to know if they could safely take spirit on their ships and still be a fighting unit, and then that was modified to be the old Sykes proof.
Yep.
The old 100 proof, the imperial proof,
and the word stayed. Yep.
Yeah, and it's modified to ABV, but these are all to do with kind of administrative or functional properties of the liquid, but the weight is the key thing, and it's what you're talking about, Roy.
I think the best illustration, and I don't think it was from the same friend that told me about the bell curve of viscosity on ABW versus ABV for volume, but if you take at room temperature, which I think is 19 or 20 degrees, I'm not sure, if you take 40 mils of alcohol and 60 mils of water at room temperature and mix them together, you get 96 mils of liquid.
Yeah.
So
yes, that's the thing, that the mixture doesn't behave like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
So that's exactly what you're talking about there, Roddy. So in order for you to do what you're trying to do with apple-based spirits, and you can pretty much do what you want at that point, it's not an admin thing, it's not a paperwork thing, it's not a functional thing. You're doing it by ABW because you know that that's the most trustworthy way that you've come to. I think it's pretty fascinating. Jimmy Legg is in, and he's saying, he's talking about Stefan again. He's saying, and he's super handsome, Aquavite. It's very difficult to like Stefan. He's got the sexy accent. He's nailed everything he's tasted tonight. Now Jimmy's declared him handsome. Peathead is saying 19.76% degrees C Aquavite. Now, Peathead, I can confirm, is not German. He's from the Netherlands, Stefan. So, but there you go. That's the room temperature. That's what we're talking about there. Fantastic. Mark Watt is in tonight as well. Good to see you, buddy. It's always nice to welcome you in here in the vPub. I hope you're having fun. Obviously, you're here to participate in the quiz at the end. It's about time I got it on. But I've had an amazing night, and I am genuinely feeling like I'm in the company of greatness tonight. What a performance, boys. If there were awards for blind tasting, you guys would have kicked it out the park. I'm sorry that I'm here dragging you all down a bit. But
you paid for the whiskey, that's fine. So therefore it's okay. You can stay.
You're very, very welcome. That's a very, very good value thing I've managed. Are all of you available to stay and hang about for a wee while and play to the quiz at the end? Yes?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. If you get ABCs, Ian, you were off screen when we made our wee bit pieces of ABC paper. If you can scrabble something together, that's fine. Otherwise, you can just make shape with your hands. Brilliant. You've got something on the go. Thank you for everything. What a community, says Ben Whiskey with Molly. Thank you so much, buddy. Celebrating being a member of the Barflies for 43 months. You are a superstar, Ben, for lots and lots of reasons. Thank you, buddy. Thank you for your generosity. Ebhead Rolfie, I'm looking forward to hanging out with you at Campbelltown next week. He's celebrating being a member for 62 months, saying the revenge of the whiskey nerds. Superb, Rolfie. Good to see you, buddy. Ebhead, that is. Doodle Dram Arnie saying this was a top-tier vPub. Thank you to all you great players for this amazing fun. I am absolutely staggered, blown away. I need to hang out with you guys more often. You can lead me. Still so much to learn from you. Great stuff. We do have a quiz at the end, of course we do. Usual stuff applies. I know that you guys have done it before, everybody that's playing along at the end, but I always say for the people that are tuning in for the first time, don't feel pressure about this quiz. It starts off fairly easy and it gets a bit more difficult as we gradually go through things. Look out for banana skins and ass hats. Make sure you read the questions properly, all of that stuff. Remember, it's always multiple choice. You're only playing against yourself. You can share the score if you want to. It's always optional. And you can lean on the community if you're struggling a bit. The idea is that almost by osmosis, just by playing along, you can maybe learn something or at least have your curiosity peaked. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, Stefan. Good luck, Ian. Good luck, Roddy. Let's see. Is this for bragging rights? Terrific. Here we go. Question 1. Which of these distilleries brand their bottles with a year that, in truth, is way earlier than the actual year that their distillery was founded? It's too much of a stretch to suggest that they're cheating, but what they do is they choose to make note of or a homage to distilleries that were predecessors of theirs. A, Glenfarclas in Speyside. B, Glasgow in the Lowlands. Or C, Loch Lomond in the Southern Highlands. Which of these distilleries? Oh, but Roddy, hold your water. Put those down. The new. You've been here before. Hold your horses. Hold your water. Wait for the countdown. The reason that we're not just blurting it out is so that we can all do it at the same time, and we're not leading each other. Sorry, fella. Okay. Graham Young. Great stuff. So sometimes question 1 or question 2 is a freebie where all the answers are potentially correct. If there's a banana skin, that's not the case. There's a banana skin. So I don't like anyone to go home from a vPub quiz at the end with a donut, with 0, with nothing. So sometimes you get a freebie. That's not the case tonight. It's not the case tonight. Okay. Almost all of you have gone for your things and committed. After 3, 2, 1, team, on you go. We've got a B from Stefan, a B and C from Ian. And we've got a B and C from Stefan's half-heartedly got a C up there as well. We're looking at Glasgow because, of course, they brand 1770 and we know they appeared in 2015. Loch Lomond, 1965, they first appeared. But they're obviously on their bottle embossed as 1814, talking about the original Loch Lomond distillery. Glenfarclas on their bottle is 1836, which is the correct date. So that means that Glasgow is absolutely correct, but also Loch Lomond because of that embossed bottle that they have, 1814. So B and C is absolutely correct. Question 2, which of the following distilleries appears in the top 5 best sellers for Diageo? When I say top 5 bestsellers, I'm talking single malt, but I need you to pick the distillery that appears in the Diageo top 5 best-selling single malt. A, Dufton. B, Oban. C, Cragganmore. Hold, Mr. Graham. Thank you, sir. Daisy Leland is in. Good to see you, Daisy. I hope you're doing well. Wonderful to welcome you to the quiz at the end. Kyle Taylor is here too. Stevie O, I welcomed you in. It's nice to see you still here at the end. Bruce Bernard is here for the quiz. Good to see you, Bruce. Mark Watts playing along for the quiz at the end. Superb, Mark. Sharmila Souza's in too. Too slow. That's Rob. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're keeping well. Where's Roy? Roy Overmare over in Norway. Fantastic, buddy. Discordia is in. Blee and C. Discordia. Not only in tonight, but you were here last week as well. Good to have you back. Stu Baby is in. Good to see you, Stuart. He's saying B. I think for the last one, actually, that's the last question. You're saying B, buddy. I think I'm a wee bit late. And he's saying A for this one. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Go for it. All of you agreeing on A. The banana skin could not trip you guys up. I have to be honest, Cragganmore is not in the top 5. Oban is in the top 5, position number 5. But of course, Dufton is number 1. Not strictly speaking on its own, it needs Glenord and Glendullan, and the 3 malts together make up the Singleton brand, which is Diageo's best-selling malt. But of course, a wee bit of cheatery going on there from Diageo. It's 3 different distilleries that could contribute to that brand. It's always a single malt. It depends on the market and the mood of Diageo, to be honest. But there you go, A and B for that one. So there should be a lot of barflies in tonight with 2 out of 2 matching Ian, Roddy, and Stefan tonight. Question 3. Recently, in the Colour of Whiskey vPub, I mentioned the black whiskies, the famous or infamous black whiskies. I opened a bottle of Bendu from Speyside Distillery, but where was the original black whiskey? Where was the original Loch Dhu made? A. Manachmore, B. Inchgower, or C. Glenlossie? Oh, Hod. Hod. I see the excitement, Roddy. I love it. So obviously I've got three very close together, well, quite close together, two very close together distilleries in Speyside, all under the ownership of Diageo. The most recent one was obviously Speyside, the Bendu, but one of those original, one of those Diageo distilleries, sorry, is responsible for the original horrendous black whiskey, the infamous Loch Dhu. Which one was it? You all feel comfortable on this one, Stefan, Ian? Oh, okay, guessing a bit. Maybe
I did drink an awful of it on the day that Oliver Reed passed. I sat in a pub and drank a lot of Guinness and a lot of Loch Dhu. It was a terrible day the next day. But I had no idea which distillery it came from.
Wow. Wow. Okay, it's an interesting one for you. Do you remember how horrible the whiskey was? Or,
And there was
sorry, I should have asked you, what's your opinion on the whiskey?
It was more of a horror show in many different levels on that night. So no, I'm not talking about that.
Okay, got you. When you're talking about Oliver Reed, you're talking about Sir Oliver Reed.
Sir Oliver Reed, yeah, he passed away. So I happened to be in a pub in Dundee, and a mate of mine was with us, and we just sat and drank Loch Dhu and pints of Guinness until the pub closed, and we went home and we watched. I think we might have watched Gladiator, but I can't remember which film we watched at the end of it. But yeah, but I can't remember what it was from at all.
I'm not suggesting that if you drank any other whiskey other than Loch Dhu, you might have remembered which film you watched. It's got nothing to do with memory affecting, but it does affect the palate a wee bit. Okay, everyone, absolutely everyone seems to think this is something. Go ahead after 3, 2, 1. Roddy's excited. Go, Stefan. Everyone's thinking Manachmore. Absolutely nailed. Well done, everyone. You're all 3 for 3. Daniel Key is saying, Michael let me taste 100% undiluted E150 on Monday. It was not pleasant. It is not pleasant. And it tends to stick around with you. It's a taste that you absolutely remember. It's almost a wee bit familiar too. A pint of Guinness in Dundee the other week was £3.25. I'm thinking about doing all my drinking in Dundee from now on. Says Ben, whiskey with Molly. Yeah, I don't think you can get a £3.25 pint of Guinness in Glasgow anymore. Question 4. Which of the following sets of 4 distilleries is linked with Johnny Walker's Green Label 15-year-old? I remember it's a blended malt whiskey. I'm not suggesting that these are the only 4 distilleries, but these are the 4 distilleries that they tend to put on the Green Label box and bottle. I'm going to give you 3 lists of 4 distilleries. Pick the one that's correct. A. Cardew, Talisker, Lagavulin, and Clynelish. B. Cardew, Clynelish, Colilla, and Glenkinchie. Or C. Linkwood, Colilla, Talisker, and Cragganmore. I'm going to do less chatty, and I'm just going to let you all process that one because I understand it's going to take a wee bit of brain munching to get through. Mark Watt is saying it's the only whiskey that went through 5 people at a whiskey festival in Dufton, and still the glass was not finished. And also the glass would have been forever stained as black as the whiskey was, right, Mark? Anytime you give a sample of Loch Dhu to somebody, it tends to stain the glass, the sample bottle. On the box and on the label of Green Label 15-year-old, these 4 distilleries are often mentioned. Always mentioned. Okay, panel, I'm going to ask you in 3, 2, 1 to share. Go, go, go. Oh, there was a delay there, and for the first time, we've got a wee bit of a break, a wee bit of a disagreement. Stefan is saying Cardew, Clynelish, Colilla, and Glenkinchie, whereas Ian and Roddy seemed to be adamant to put it round the back to front. That's the right way, Ian. Thank you. Stefan, you've got yours back to front. They're going with Linkwood, Kalila, Talisker and Cragganmore. I can tell you that 2 of you are correct. Stefan is the first to come a cropper tonight. There's no shame in that, big guy. No shame at all. But yeah, the B was actually the 4 corners. Kalila, Clynelish, Glenkinchie and Cardew are the 4 corners of Diageo. But the 4 that they put on a bottle of Green Label is C. Well done, everyone. Still on a 4 out of 4. Picture question next. I'm going to show you a nice picture of a spirit safe. A spirit safe. And I would like you to tell me where we are just from looking at the spirit safe. I think it's easier than you're imagining right now, but I do like the expression on Stefan's face. Here we go. This specifically is the spirit safe we're looking at. Where would that be? We've got a really nice vista through some glass sheets, glass windows. Got some water out there before we hit another body of land beyond. Lachlan McKenzie, good to see you. Multifaceted is in. Timothy H is still with us. Great to see you all. Jimmy Legg is still in with a 4 out of 4 tonight. Ginger Genius is also on a 4 out of 4 with Bruce, Graham Fraser, Eb Head, Stevie O, Timothy. Multifaceted Anthony Lambert, 4 out of 4. Give me a pint of Brains Dark any day over Guinness, says Anthony Lambert. Been there, says Pete Head. I don't know, says Rob Too Slow. Looks fairly new, says Hoyt Hemphill. Good to see you, Hoyt. Okay. Could be tricky. Ebhead is saying to Daisy that it's the best view ever. Okay. After. No, I have to give you the options, don't I? Sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm expecting you to do it fully blind. I'm so used to you doing everything fully blind now. We are on Isla. We are on the northeast of Isla. But are we in A, Ardnahoe, B, Bunnahabhain, or C, Kalila? Where are we? I can tell by your reaction, Ian, that both of your potentials are there. Tremendous, tremendous, tremendous. Okay, panel, after 3, 2, 1, go. A for Ardnahoe for Roddy, C for Kalila for Ian, and A for Ardnahoe for Stefan. Ian, you know that Kalila has just had a recent dressing and a refurbishment, right? You know that Kalila looks directly onto what's just beyond that body of water there, the Paps of Jura. You're absolutely right. Unfortunately, the elevation is just a wee bit wrong, and we're actually up the road a bit at Ardnahoe. We're up on Isla's Erie crest, Erie Nest type of distillery, almost like an eagle's nest up there. If you think of all the other distilleries on Isla, they were either there because of illicit distilling or because of easy access to the water. Kilhoman, the farm distillery in Ardnahoe, this new kind of crest up on the mountain type thing, bucks that trend because they're modern buildings. And that was the giveaway for this one. So, Roddy, you're the only one that's on the panel still holding it together for a full score, I think. Yes, a wee dance from Roddy. Okay, it's going to get harder now, fella. So enjoy it while it's going. Question 6. Which famous blend was once marketed with the straplines suitable for all climates and humours and age with honour? My favourite branding in whiskey. It's in my top 5, let's say. Suitable for all climates and humours and age with honour. Was it A, the black and white, B, Bailey Nickel Jarvie, or C, White Horse? Roddy's confidence is just absolutely shining out the man tonight. Look at this. He's got the ticket in hand already. A lot of 5s of 5s out there. Good to see it, Alistair. Good to see it. We'll start to see a wee bit of attrition from here on in, I suspect. But I always underestimate just how knowledgeable you all are and how much you help each other out, so you just never know. Love this question. Roddy's confident. Ian and Stefan less so. Maybe Ian. No, Stefan's quite confident. Ian's quite confident too. Okay, which blend? It's both said age with honour and suitable for all climates and humours. After 3, 2, 1, go. B, B, B. Lots of blees tonight. Fantastic. You all think it's Bailey Nickel Jarvie, and you're absolutely spot on. Let me show you something that was sent to me by Glenn Duncan. He knows that I'm a big fan of this is a very, very modern bottle of Bailey Nickel Jarvie, and I have to say that this has been overtaken by a lot of the modern blends that's available to us right now. Some of my best vPub of this year, 2025, was the blended Scotch whisky vPub. The blends I shared with you that night are still among my favourite things to reach for right now. The Perpetuity blend from Portaleith, fantastic. Living Soul's 15-year-old, fantastic. I especially love the Chiro's Malt and Grain, superb. The Johnny Walker 200th anniversary is delightful, and it gets more and more delicious all the time. Honestly, go back and just get the list of recommendations from that. I think all of those would do a wee bit better than Bailey Nickel Jarvie, but it still holds a wee bit of a special place in my heart. But it's a lot to do with the branding. Glenn Duncan sent me, so this Bailey Nickel Jarvie, is it's an 8-year-old, isn't it? 8 years old. Very, very small age statement there. 8 years old. This is a Bailey Nickel Jarvie 8-year-old, a modern concept from Glenmorangie, but this is the original. This is the original that's sent to me from Glenn Duncan. What a wonderful gift to get. Screw top instead of the cork on the top there. There's no barcode or anything on this. 75 CL. I think this places itself in this bottle in this livery firmly in the 1980s. So there's a good chance that we've got 1970s distillate there for me to maybe bring down to Campbelltown, you never know, and share with some folk. Wonderful gesture. Glenn Duncan, thank you very much for your generosity, buddy. What a wonderful wee gift for my birthday to receive. Cheers. You familiar with it, Roddy? The Bailey Nickel Jarvie. Oh, you've gone mute.
No, sorry. That was one that we. That was our budget whiskey of choice in Oddbins days.
Yes.
Because
of the malt content, perhaps, or the suspected malt content.
I think it was it was out of the mainstream enough that people who had come into Oddbins and still were horrified by malt prices 25 years ago.
Yeah.
You could suggest B&J to them at 15 quid, and they'd be like, well, fair enough, And it was an old-fashioned label, and the malt content. I've got this weird. So when B&J was withdrawn, I bought a bottle just to have
souvenir,
and then took it somewhere for New Year's and lifted it out the car and dropped it.
Oh, wow!
So somehow, because of that, I've always, it's somehow more important than it ought to be.
I understand completely.
That last bottle of B&J was never actually consumed. But yeah,
I understand completely what you're talking about. One day at the club asked me about peppermint Aero. I have a very similar thing with it. Anyway, I can still get peppermint Aero. It's very hard to get Bailey Nickel Jarvie unless you go to auction now. I have to say, though, I've tried that alongside a lot of the modern blends that's available now, and we're getting treated much better today. Okay, in my opinion, of course, that's based on tonight. You can take from that what you will. Question 7. Which of these distilleries is the oldest? Nice and easy. Nice and easy. A. Tullabarden. B. Turmore. C. Tomintoul. Stefan K and I have an occasional discussion at the Glasgow Whisky Club about the tea distilleries. Which of these tea distilleries is the oldest? Tullabarden, Turmore, or Tomintoul?
Can I tell you which one's the best? Tobermory.
Tobermory is the best tea distillery.
Yeah. And I said, there's also, yes, yeah. That was my point, to not say Talisker. fair enough. It's good, but anyway. But I still don't know the answer to this one. That's more concerning.
But Stefan, what about Ting Bang?
Ting Bang.
Ting Bang.
Tyne Leash is also quite good.
Ting Bank. Tyne Leash. Ebhead Rolfie's saying he used to love Tom and Tell. Graham Fraser is saying, I thought Oddbins has shut. Is Oddbins still on a go, Roddy? No.
No, it's finally it struggled on as a zombie for a while, but then sadly the people that owned it, the revenue finally decided that they were too dodgy to allow them to trade, so it has finally entirely gone, which I'm sad about, because I loved working for Oddbins. It was an
institution of its time. Yeah.
Well, but that attitude of trying to find things that people would enjoy drinking, and yes, they could be expensive or they could be ludicrously cheap, but the point was that it was about flavour rather than tradition or the
brand
or price or
packaging or whatever. So I'm sad to see them.
A really strong point about Oddbins was the first time I heard about Roddy. Didn't meet him. First time I heard about Roddy was when my wife went to look for wines for our wedding, and she went to Oddbins on Crow Road and was heavily encouraged to buy a wine that Roddy suggested to her because it smelled wonderfully of cabbage, but in the very, very best possible way. They tried it and loved it. It was a bit out of our budget. We didn't go for it, full disclosure, but it was still that moment. And the first time I ever tried not supporting or nominating that Argentinian lager was because it came from Oddbins. Many of the people I know through whiskey all worked in Oddbins, and it like you were saying, it had a commitment to flavour and exciting things. There was a malt whiskey, and it was called the Dreaded Lurgy. It was bottled under their own brand that was spectacularly good.
So
and it couldn't have been Glenbergie because it was closed at the time. And one of the very best Springbanks I ever drank was one that was bottled for Oddbins, but it had a taste of the most distinct, slightly rotten seaweed. It was the most beautiful thing, and I described it to so many people in the Ben Nevis when I worked there. The people went, "I'm not drinking slightly rotten seaweed," so I got to drink it on my nights off. Not when I was working there. I'll be very clear about that. This bottle of whiskey that I did get. So yeah, the staff that were in Oddbins, the education that I got in alcohol in the very, very best way.
And I have to say that feels a lot like different examples, obviously, Ian, but a lot like Good Spirits Company has been for me over
100%.
The sense of community that we whitewashed tasting room through the back there, back in the day, the stuff that I was discovering week after week, amazing. But that one, the Dreaded Lurgy, Stefan, that sounds like one of our interesting whiskies, right?
Right. I'm pretty sure, Ian, that actually is a Glenbergie. That was one that my friend James that makes the cider now. That was one of his picks. I think if I asked him about that, I think he would say that was Bergie.
I had been told that was the period there was a silent period for Bergie, and there's no way the ages could match up. But very, very happy wrong, because it could possibly be that there was a number of casks vatted together. So the youngest was, or whatever it was. But I've been told that it wasn't Bergie. Anyway, exceptional whiskey, just wonderful stuff.
So get on the auction for an Oddbins, the Dreaded Lurgy.
No, don't.
Don't go. Well, don't all go on at the same time.
Shut up. Ian, shut up. Rather shut up.
Okay, good stuff. Question 8. Are we all holding it together on score? Roddy, are you still 6 for 6, 7 for 7 now? Well, you don't know yet, do you? Nobody knows about 7. Which is the oldest distillery? 3, 2, 1, go. 3 A's. All of you thinking Tullibardine.
At least advancing is the same speed.
Tom and Tell, I think, is 1965. Turmore is 1958. Tullibardine, 1949. The oldest. Well done. Roddy's still intact. That means that 6 out of 7 for Stefan and Ian, 7 out of 7 for Roddy. Let's keep on this same subject. Before Tullibardine appeared in 1949, how many other malt distilleries had been founded in Scotland in the 20th century up until that point? So, from the year 1899 until the year 1949, how many other Scotch malt distilleries had been founded? A, surprisingly, only 1 or 2. B, a handful, 4 or 5 at most. C, 7, of which there are 3, are still operational today. So, from 8 to a good question. I think regardless of what the answer is, this is a good question. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Yes.
but I don't like
In
your
the 50 years before
your-
Tullibardine came along, how many Scotch malt distilleries were founded in the 20th century? Surprisingly, only 1 or 2. B, a handful, 4 or 5 at most. Or C, 7 of which 3 are still operational today.
quite vague options there. 1 or 2, who knows? More or less. 4 or 5. It's interesting. How do you
Yeah,
not know?
rather just
How
putting
can you
down
say
the
this
numbers.
was not? How is it a question of debate?
It can be tedious putting these questions together, Stefan. I like
There's
to
a lot
mix
of
it up
tedious
a little bit.
stuff going on.
I like to play.
I always do the quiz on the side without really I always end up with 4 or 5 or something because it's so much.
I'm really struggling not to draw attention to the fact that you're a German when you say that the answers here are a little bit ambiguous, but I have to because I really it's not. Sometimes it's fun to lean into the stereotypes, the national stereotypes, right?
Well,
But they can only be the same. Only 1 or 2. That doesn't overlap with anything else. 4 or 5 is clearly different. And then clearly I'm at 7, so they are quite different. Stefan, I'm sorry. I don't really the same number of answers that I ignore, says Fernando. Good to see you in, Fernando. Ebhead Roffey is saying, fantastic question, Roy. Thank you, Roffey. I liked it. All right, after 3, 2, 1. Let's see. CAA. So we do have a split here. Fantastic. Like to see it. I can tell you that it did genuinely split the crowd a little bit here. A few people going for C, for example, suggesting 7 of which 3 are still operational today. Some people saying A. Nobody's saying 4 or 5 at most, actually. Maybe the way I worded it, drawing people away from B. I can tell you that if we went for standalone Scotch distilleries built under their own steam, it would be 0. But there were 2, and these 2 distilleries were built inside other distillery complexes. Do you know, Roddy? Inverleven and Malt
King
Mill
Place.
at Lagavulin. Inverleven at Dumbarton and Malt Mill at Lagavulin. Only 2 distilleries, and even those were built inside existing distillery complexes. It's amazing to me. Amazing. So there you go. Tullibardine came along and changed everything. What trailblazers they were. Not celebrated enough, potentially. I wonder why. Question 9. Before moving to Ireland in his 30s, the founder of quintessential Irish whiskey, not my quote, John Jameson, was born where exactly? Where was the founder of quintessential Irish whiskey actually born? Was he born in A, Govan in Glasgow, B, Alloa in Clackmannanshire, or C, Leith in Edinburgh? Where was John Jameson born? How's the scores going, boys?
Very close to his mum.
Roddy, you're still together, aren't you? You're still full score, 8 out of 8.
Yep, 8 out of 8.
Oh, he is.
Wow. Ian, I think you're 6 for 8, and Stefan 7 for 8.
I'm 7, yeah. So, well.
Terrific stuff. Lots of 8 out of 8s in the chat here. Dave the Brave is in with an 8 out of 8. Good to see you, Dave. Bruce Bernard. Of course, we're all playing against Mark Watt. That's the truth, right? Let's see
And
how Mark's doing tonight.
Graham Fraser's in the chat too. So
Well, Graham Fraser's an A student.
He should be banned.
He's always
Yeah.
he should be banned. Yeah.
Graham should be banned. Like I think Graham should be on some sort of handicap.
I know, I know. To be fair, he does tend to answer at the very last beat. So he is trying to, because it would get to the point where he would be the Pied Piper and we would all just be following Graham Fraser. So he does tend to answer a wee bit late. But this time he's said, I've actually been to his grave. As his answer, he's given away.
Of course he has.
Of course he has. Okay, after 3, 2, 1 on the penultimate, let's see what you're saying. A B from Roddy, a C from Ian, and a B from Stefan. Oh, that means that Ian's not very confident all of a sudden. You were thinking the home of the Blenders in Leith, perhaps, Ian? You are wrong. He wasn't a Glaswegian either, but he was indeed born in Alloa in Clackmannanshire, which ironically is the seat of Scottish whisky today, depending on how you look at it. If you were to look at it from space, it would be Alloa and Clackmannanshire in terms of just storing whisky out there, right? Okay, so for question 9, Ian's dropped another one, but that's okay. Before we go into the ASAC question, the deliberately awkward one at the end, there's lots of people with 9 out of 9 tonight. Fantastic. Roddy is in the chat and in live, celebrating his 9 out of 9, along with Hellswood, Sharmila Suze, Ginger Genius, Tony Nelson, Graham Young, Jimmy Legg, Multifaceted, Dave the Brave, fantastic as it jumps. Sorry, Daniel Key, Too Slow, Sugar Kitty, good to see you all in. Danny Keenan, Bruce Bernard, lots and lots. Discord, there's going to be a lot of 10 out of 10s tonight. Discordia's on a 9 out of 9. Daisy as well. Stevie O is even on a 9 out of 9. Fantastic, Stevie, well done. Alistair and Graham Fraser, lots and lots of 9 out of 9s. Here's the ASAT at the end, deliberately meant to be awkward. You need to know the answer to 2 different things. I don't think it's too bad tonight. There's going to be high number of 10 out of 10s tonight. Okay. The ASAT is, how many Scotch malt distilleries begin with the letter R? Very straightforward. R. About the same number as A, operational Scotch malt distilleries located in Fife. B, operational Scotch malt distilleries on the islands of Orkney. C, operational Scotch malt distilleries on Skye. How many Scotch malt distilleries begin with R, the letter R? Mark Watt is on a 9 out of 9. It's between Roddy and Mark. I'm afraid it's between the 2 juggernauts of whiskey.
Shit.
I mean, Graham Fraser gets a bye. If Graham Fraser doesn't get a 10 out of 10, we all have to take a long lie on a Friday. That's the truth of it. Okay. Alistair McPhail, 9 out of 9. Fantastic. Okay. I'm just going to ask for it, boys. I'm just going to ask you to turn your cards in after 3, 2, 1. How many Scotch malt distilleries are we going to letter R, A, C, B? We do have a split. That's amazing. A, B, and C, you're all over the place. A for Ian thinks it's the number of distilleries in Fife. B for Stefan, who thinks it's the number of distilleries in Orkney. And C for Roddy, which thinks it's operational Scotch malt distilleries on Skye. I can tell you that there are 5 operational distilleries in Fife, 4 on Orkney, and 2 in Skye. Obviously, Torrevieja and Talisker. But I can tell you our distilleries, 2 Royals and 2 Roses. Look at Roddy. He did not forget Royal Brackla. Is there any way that you forgot Royal Brackla?
Forgot Royal Brackla.
that might beat my shame for screwing up the Cornwall and the Peat Smoke. How can the founder of the Royal Brackla Appreciation Society have forgotten Royal Brackla? Royal Brackla, Royal Lochnagar, and the 2 Roses are Rose Isle and Rosebank, of course. That's the 4 distilleries, which means that if you answered 4 for the 4 distilleries...
Can I ask, does Raasay not count? Is it Isle of Raasay?
Yeah, I have to say Isle of Raasay. That would be an I. You know,
Okay.
honestly,
That's
if you pushed it and suggested that, but I do always caveat these things by saying about the same number as. So arguably, if you answered A, you might want to take an A and say 5, but it would still be wrong because it's not
Okay.
the same as the number of distilleries in 5. So Isle of Raasay is an I. There's a couple of Isles, of course. We've got Isle of Harris as well. Arran is, strictly speaking, Isle of Arran is a parent company of 2 distilleries now. They changed the name of Arran to Lochranza, of course. So Isle of Arran's now Lag and Lochranza. So yes, Isle of Raasay is I. So did you write down Raasay, Stefan? Is that what caught you?
but I'm still wrong. Even if Raasay counted, I'm wrong. So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay. Fantastic. Still super impressive. What was your final score, Stefan?
8, which is pretty good. Best I ever had, probably.
How'd you got on, Ian?
I thought I got one more and then realised it was wrong. So I'm going to put myself back down to 6.
6 is still a clear pass mark, an easy pass mark.
But it doesn't matter because Roddy forgot about Royal Brack.
That's the thing. There's no 10 out of 10 from the panel tonight. Roddy, you didn't let us down, big guy. You made our night. You made our bloody night. That's brilliant. So we bookended this with disaster. I came up still with the biggest disaster. I didn't pick up Pete and Kalila tonight. I'm picking it up now, it's standing out there like a big smoke bomb. However, I didn't pick it at the start of tonight. But for you to be one of the 3 members of the Royal Brackla Appreciation Society and forget Royal Brackla, which then automatically meant, tell me, Roddy, did you remember Royal Lochnagar? You forgot the Royal just didn't come into it at all. If you'd remembered Royal Lochnagar and not got Royal Brackla, that would have been execution, right? That would have been you can never back again type. But okay, but
I mean, to be completely honest, I was like, there's 0 distilleries with R, and then I thought, no, that can't be right, so I just picked a number at random.
Brilliant. But that's the thing about the ASHAT. That's what it's meant to do. It's meant to get more and more horrible towards the end, and it means that the people that do get 10 out of 10 have got something to genuinely celebrate about. That's what I'm going to do right now with them. Let's see how we got on. Everybody's having a wee laugh at Roddy. Let's fill the chat with the Roddy emoji to show just how much he's still loved, and in fact he's just endeared himself even more to us by forgetting about Royal Brackla, which is just brilliant.
So close. That's the closest I've been to a 10 out of 10.
The amount of attrition at the end, by the way, we've got...
It just proves he's human.
Sharmilla Suze is on a 9. Stu Baby's on an 8. Arse says multifaceted on a 9. Tony Nelson on a 9. So close. 9 for Ebhead as well. I've managed to rip the carpet out from under a lot of people's feet, I think. The Ginger Genius 9. I'm looking for the 10s here. Discordia's in and scoring a 10. Well done. We've got at least one 10 tonight. We've got a 10 out of 10 from Graham Young, Danny Keenan. We're all looking for Mark Watt, aren't we? He's here. I don't know what his score is yet, but he's saying, wow, I feel so good. So I think that tells us. Congrats to all the 10s, says Fernando. I'm looking for more 10s. Here we go, Graham Young. Dude, Graham Young. Looks like Graham Young got a 10 out of 10 as well. All the Roddy emojis are making the chat jump for me. Let's make that a bit bigger so that I can not jump so much. Who else am I missing? Graham Fraser, of course, got a 10 out of 10. Good stuff. Order is restored. Alistair McPhail has got a 10 out of 10 saying, I'm running around the room. Enjoyable quiz yet again. Aggravated, made even better by the panel and Roddy Graham's reaction to his clanger. Peter is saying, with that, I'm calling it a day. Going to hit the sack. Thanks for organising as always, Aggravated. Thanks, Roddy, Stefan, and Ian for participating. See all of you after my Scotland trip. Thank you very, very much, Peathead. Enjoy your trip while you're over here. I look forward to seeing you, hopefully, in the wee tune next week. Sharmilla Susie saying, one of my favourite vPubs. Superb. Thank you, Sharmilla. Thank you for being here tonight as well. I've enjoyed myself tonight too. Julian Rickman is... oh, no, it jumped here, Julian. I don't know if you're... No, you weren't a 10 out of 10. I'm looking for a 10 out of 10. If you were a 10 out of 10, I've missed it. Listen, congratulations to everybody. I'll join Ebhead Discordia. He's celebrating Discordia's 10 out of 10. And Graham Fraser's. Timothy H is also saying congrats to the 10 out of 10s. So we did get a lot of 10 out of 10s. I think that last that I sat at the end, fairly simple, straightforward question is all it takes, right? Listen, we all enjoy a wee bit of blind tasting. I don't think I've enjoyed blind tasting quite as much as I've enjoyed it tonight. You guys did something absolutely spectacular tonight. People can say, yeah, it was Clynelish, it was Bamore, it was Springbank, it was pish, pish, pish. You need to step up and you need to do it. And you need to do it live on camera, and you need to do it with whiskies that you've potentially not even tasted before. You need to do it when it's from a blank bottle into a blank glass, and all you've got is your wits and your experience about a whiskey glass. I was utterly impressed and absolutely loved watching you enjoy your whiskies tonight. I loved it. Thank you for stepping forward. Multifaceted is saying, great vPub, Roy. Hopefully see you in the Barflies in Campbelltown next week. Thank you so much, buddy. I'm looking forward to it. You'll need to remind me of who you are. I'm trying to track Multifaceted to your real name. Come up, raise a glass and shake hands next week, buddy. I look forward to it. Stefan, I think I stopped you saying something there.
No, I didn't say anything.
You were just leaning forward. Hopefully,
I was just pouring myself another dram of the local barley because I have
the local barley. Fantastic. Is that
which
your
I didn't
favourite of the
even
three then?
Well, no, it was very good, but I didn't even identify it. But it was clearly one of the favorites, yes. But I enjoyed them, well, all of them really, I have to say.
You picked the Springbank out?
I didn't expect. I said call it Campbelltown. Yeah.
Okay, the only thing that draws, okay, sometimes Coquer and sometimes a Longrow, sometimes a Hazelburn, but it's going to be something that Janie Mitchell make, right? For you to just go, I think I'm drawn to Campbelltown, was amazing, fantastic. Did you enjoy yourselves tonight?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Until the end.
Fantastic. Well,
I really enjoyed the end. The end was the best bit for me.
No.
Oh, that's so good. Listen, I could have said, Roddy, this is the honesty of it. I could have said, Roddy, did you get Royal Brackla? And you could have said, oh, yeah, totally got Royal Brackla. But no, you just went, oh, no, I forgot Royal Brackla. It's just fantastic. Ginger Genius saying, great vPub, see you on Thursday. And Stewie Baby is saying, cracking night. Well done, team. Better guessing than Mystic Meg. See you in the wee tune next week. Sweet dreams, Barflies. Thank you, Stewie. See you in Campbelltown. Rolfie saying, what a fun night, everyone. Blind tasting classic. Good night, Aquaviti. 3 hours and 20 minutes is just perfect. Graham Fraser saying, words shall be said about this at the next Glasgow Whisky Club tasting, guys. Thanks, guys, and Roy for tonight. No. What goes on in the vPub stays in the vPub.
Stays on the internet forever. Is that?
And a lot of fun and knowledge. Cheers. See you the next one. Let's raise a wee glass to all the Barflies, to all the nice words that Roddy said about the Barflies to start the night off. I hope that's still maintained, Roddy, despite the wee slip up at the end.
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, you're a horrible people. You're horrible people.
Especially Jimmy Bloomin' Leg.
Jimmy Bloomin' Leg. Great job, Royce. Says, buy Roddy a dram of Royal Brackla on me. Alistair McPhail, thank you so much, buddy, for the dram right at the end. Thank you so much. Let's raise a wee glass. Thank you for your trust. Thank you for your good fun, your spirits, but thank you just for showing us. Look, you've got nothing in the glass there, Roddy. That's the problem. Thank you all so much.
There was a dribble. I'll top it up.
Ian, until next time, big guy. Thank you. Stay past the post credits if you want to raise a wee glass after they roll. Same for you, Stefan. Thank you so much for your trust tonight. Thank you for joining us. And Roddy, I'm sorry it's been a year. I really am. It's for no other reason than I've just been pleasing myself, buddy. I always have a blast when you're on, whether it's just the two of us or with a mixed crowd as well. I know you've made a lot of folk happy by stepping forward again tonight. And until the next time, thank you once more.
The next time, just so that Jimmy knows what to look forward to, is the next time is 100% cocktails.
Oh, I remember the last time we did cocktails. That's probably the most joyous I've been on a vPub. Let's put it that way. So I'm a wee bit nervous about that.
In fact, the next time is 100% cider-based cocktails.
Oh dear.
Just to noise up Jimmy.
Can I have something other than cider-based cocktails?
No. It's not like it's your channel, man.
The cider-based cocktail vPub. Oh, fantastic. Roddy, thank you, buddy. See you soon.
Yep. That was a good one.
It was a cracker. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much. I hope it's just kind of, I don't know, inspired some of you just to pick up whatever bottles you have on hand, whether they're mystery malts or otherwise, it's easy to turn them into mystery malts, especially things that are languishing a little bit and you decide that you don't like them. Maybe it's time to revisit them again. And if you do revisit them blind. It's quite impressive how whiskey can change over time. It's not often, it's not always, sorry, the whiskey. Often it's us that's changing over time too. I've had a blast tonight. I've enjoyed hanging out with you, as I always do on a Thursday night. I'm not here next week. I apologise. I'm going to take a wee break and enjoy myself down in Campbelltown for the Malts Festival. But then the 29th of May, I'll be back here with you all to round out the month and hopefully have some tales about the festival and how things went down there. Until then, I'll raise this glass to you all. Thank you all for your support once more tonight. Thanks for your fun and your company. I remind you all that you're very dearly loved, and I look forward to hanging out with you again next week. Until then, everyone, Slanchiva. Cheers.